Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Everybody, and welcome back to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay indeed, Jimmy, yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmy Wissman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today on another crazy, wild, insane, coming to the finish line edition of Crime and Sports. So from here till the end of the year, it is going to be nothing but the craziest stuff. I mean, it was hard. Getting that whittling down like that final 12 was really difficult, and there's just a few people to go. Next week, we're going to do Aaron Hernandez, I'll tell you right now.
Great.
So that's one that everybody's asked for about 6-7 years now, so we'll definitely do that. This week, we have...
My favorite's when people are like, have you heard of this?
Yeah, have you heard of... You should do this one. Really, should we? We're saving it, trust me. It's in the back of the fridge. We know it's there. It doesn't expire. It's good. It stays good forever.
It's like pickles.
It's fun. Yeah, we got pickles back there. It's maraschino cherries. They're back there. When we need to put them in a cocktail, we will. Or we got an ice cream sundae.
When we get to them, yeah.
It's there. This week, it's a surfer. It's our final surfer. It's our third surfer, and our first two surfer episodes were two of the craziest episodes we've ever had. They're insane, and anyone who's not afraid of drowning is probably pretty crazy. So this is no different. There's really no sports in this one. It's going to be all crime and weird
mayhem.
shit.
Yeah.
Mayhem. It's a mayhem edition of Crime and Sports. Before we get to it very quickly, just want to thank everybody for all that you do for us all the time. Yeah. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now and, I don't know, get your merchandise. Tons of merchandise there. Yeah. Keep your eyes open for tickets for next year. We're going to be putting those on sale. I think right before Thanksgiving is when we're going to do that.
Coming up soon. Yeah.
Late November, it looks like, is going to be 2023 tour dates for Small Town Murder. So get those. Now, patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all of the good stuff. And we've been asked a lot. Crime and Sports Patreon will continue even after Crime and Sports is done. Still going to do the same amount of crime and sports stuff on there, and tons of guys who just don't have enough stories for a whole full episode. So that's where crime and sports will live after that. But this week, which first of all, $5 or above, you get the whole back catalog. 150 episodes or so, all sorts of good stuff to binge. And then you get new ones every other week. That's how it works there. 2 episodes, 1 crime and sports, 1 small town murder, and you have access to all of it, goddammit.
Oh, boy.
This week, what we're going to do is, for crime and sports, we're going to talk about Len Bias, who... This has never really happened in sports before. It's a one-time thing where the can't-miss number 1 draft pick going to change the face of the league, the whole deal. He's the man, and the day he gets drafted, that night he goes out and parties and has a heart attack from doing too much coke at 21 years old. It's insane, and changed the course of the Boston Celtics definitely for a long time.
For sure.
So, it's insane. So we'll talk all about Len Bias. And then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about the differences between Netflix Jeffrey Dahmer story and the actual Jeffrey Dahmer story. Because it's done so well that it really it masks a lot of the things that they cheated and changed.
It's going to make people think that that's the real story. Yeah.
Exactly. That's because it's done so well cinematically. So we'll talk about the differences, plenty of them, all sorts of things to bitch about. We'll talk all about that. Patreon.com/crime and sports. And you will get a shout out at the end of the show where, of course, Jimmy will mispronounce your name, even though he'd love to get it right. So there you go. That says, let's get into it. Let's dive into this with a man who loves the ocean. Okay. Here we go. Edward Martin Rothman is his name.
Big fan.
Big fan. Fast Eddie is how he goes by, though. Doesn't go by Edward Martin. Our second Fast Eddie that we've ever had.
Yeah.
This is Fast Eddie Rothman. Our first is Fast Eddie Johnson. And that was kind of, I was considering, and I'll leave it out to if anybody has any interest, you can hit us up about this, but I was considering redoing Eddie Johnson as one of the last episodes because Eddie Johnson was arrested about 110 times, and we did that in an hour. And I don't feel like we gave it full justice because I remember having to pick and choose which arrests to talk about, and they're all insane. The guy's crazy. He test drove a Porsche and just kept it. Like shit like that. He's insane. So Fast Eddie Johnson, the basketball player, over 100 arrests. We might have to revisit him and just kind of do that again.
Ruined another Eddie Johnson's career.
That was the origins of the mistaken identities, actually, was because it was another Eddie Johnson. We're like, good God, I feel sorry for this guy.
Bastard.
So then we found more Eddie Johnsons, and we're like, this is terrible. And then next thing you know, it's a segment. So that's how that worked. But this is Fast Eddie Rothman, who sounds like a race car driver. Definitely,
does.
right? Because from Reno 911, Fast Eddie, was it Fast Eddie McClintock?
I don't remember the last name. I've been watching it over and over and over again.
I know. The guy
it's so
who they
good.
chased and could never get, and it's basically Lightning McQueen is the way they're doing it. So anyway, Fast Eddie Rothman, he is born in 1949.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he's still alive now.
Is that right?
We'll talk about. Yeah, I'll get to spoiler alert. He doesn't drown in a surfing accident or anything like that.
Sharks?
No sharks. No, didn't get like caught in a reef and eaten by a shark or anything like that, which is how you expect most surfers to die. You figure.
I'm shocked there are not more Bethany Hamiltons.
You know what I mean? Like, how is it not? If you're always in the water, I guess, though, if you're a surfer and you're always in the water, you probably also know signs of when the fuck to get out of the water.
Yeah, it's right when you piss or you're bleeding or anything. You get the fuck out.
Things of that nature, whereas I think people who just go in the water and are tourists might not understand when there's a shark right by them. Whereas a surfer, I feel like, might have more of a sense of the water and where things are. And, you know, if you're not in the ocean normally, you're just like, oh, God, good, I'm not drowning. You don't know if there's sharks. You're happy to not drown.
There's a lot of drone footage of people on the beach and
God.
Sharks swimming right just beyond them. Yeah. But I'm sure a lot of that's also photoshopped and bullshit, but I'm sure there's at least one or two that are real.
I'm sure it stems from some reality, probably, hopefully. I don't know.
Mostly the fucking fear of it.
Yeah, like, it could be there. That's the thing. Whether it's there or not, there are sharks in the water and you are in there with them. So at any point, that could be reality. That's really
his
real.
Tank, and you got in. What are you doing?
Yeah. That'd be like showing like a guy getting raped in prison or something, and it'd be like, I don't know if that's real. Well, it could happen though. It really could. That's the thing.
It's all right there.
Whether it's happening in this picture or not, it could happen. It's right there.
It's like when it's cloudy out. It could rain any minute now. It could
happen.
Just start.
If you photoshopped rain in, I go, well, I mean, the clouds are there. It's possible.
Makes sense.
So, Fast Eddie. Let's talk about Fast Eddie here. Let's talk about, because his childhood, he's from the mainland and he ends up a Hawaiian surf legend. So
he's from America.
He's from the mainland. Yeah. So if you're from the mainland and end up a Hawaiian surf legend, you have to have a very strange. There's no way to come upon that in a normal way. You know what I mean? There just isn't.
Anybody that's on the mainland and has visited Hawaii, every one of them thinks, we should just stay here. And then you go, well, I've got a job and a 401k and the kids got school.
It's
and
really
then you go
expensive
back.
here, and milk is $7 a gallon here, and I don't know.
I don't know how much spam I can stomach.
Yeah, we can't live our normal lifestyle here. We're not ready for that much beach. We're just not ready for it.
The island. Let's go home.
Let's go home. Yeah, that's how it works, though. But it's
justifying why
beautiful,
Nebraska's better.
You're like, you know what? Omaha really has its strong points. I didn't think about it, but let's go to our regular Perkins instead. But Hawaii, if you think in your head, if someone says tropical paradise, you picture Hawaii in your head. It's an island with waves and the mountains and the volcanoes and the breeze with the palm trees. It's ridiculous. It's a silly fantasy land of a place. It's not real. You can't expect people to. Anyone who moves there isn't moving there to like get something done. They're moving there to take a step back. You know what I mean?
They're moving there to stop getting stuff done.
Exactly. So the whole pace of a society like that slows down a little bit.
grinds to a halt almost.
And it's any island is like that too. I know, like the Caribbean. I've heard a lot of people I know from the Caribbean say they talk about island time. There's regular time and there's island time, and island time is
a minute's like 2.5.
It doesn't matter. It's like, well, what are you in a rush for? You know what I mean? We're all here. It's still going to be beautiful in 20 minutes. Relax. And it's a nice way. It's not bad. You know, it can be frustrating if you're like building something or expecting, you know, if you're putting together the fire festival, I guess you could get frustrated like that. But otherwise, you go, hey, you know what? That's the pace of shit, and you go with it. You know, it is how it is when in Rome. You know, relax, everybody. So Eddie, though, he's from Ohio. Okay?
Is that right?
He's from Ohio. Jesus Christ, starts out with some tragedy right off the bat here. The last few, we've had some strange, the orphan train guy, and we've had a lot of weird, the animal Barboza last week. This kid here, he is, when he's 5 years old, his parents go out one night to get a Christmas tree.
Oh, God.
It's December, late December. Yeah. I'm picturing just, jingle bells going and snow coming down like Christmas Story.
And this is singing songs.
1954. This is Christmas Story. His dad's got a fedora and an overcoat on, and his mom's in the front seat, and nobody's wearing gloves. No one's wearing a seatbelt, and they probably should have been, because his parents were killed in a horrible car accident on the way home from getting a Christmas tree. They even said in the newspaper that they specifically, this is what I mean. People are always looking for sensationalistic details, because in the newspaper, it wasn't bad enough that the mother and father, and I think 2 other people were killed in this accident. There was another car with like 4 people in the car. I think one other person from that car was killed. Right. So 3 people are terribly, tragically killed over a holiday season, and they made sure to mention that the Christmas tree was incinerated in the fire, in the aftermath of the fire.
What a waste of $35.
Yeah, all of that, and the tree's gone. Holy shit. But that was like, the last little poignant thing. Even the Christmas tree was burned to cinders. No child will be retrieving presents from underneath this tree this year. Like, it was too much.
Did an old man in the corner say, well, at least it's out of its misery?
It's at least they're all out of their misery now. So he stays with an uncle for a while. It's his mother's brother. Okay.
Jesus God.
So, his grandparents had already died, so they couldn't help out. So
he's an only child?
No. He goes with an uncle. He has a brother who's 16 at the time, and his brother just goes off on his own. So he just takes off. So, it's just him now. Here he is.
To be wild Ohioan? To
be wild in central Ohio here. Yeah. It's like in outside of, I want to say southwest of Cleveland was the I can't remember the name of the town. But either way, they end up... His uncle, they're together for about 6 months, and then his uncle is sent to jail for, buckle up, everybody here. Yeah. This is 1955 this happened, and so this dog would have been long dead by now anyway. His uncle is sent to jail for killing a neighbor's dog.
The neighbor's dog.
Well, the dog attacked him. In his defense, but then it goes against him because the dog attacked him because Fast Eddie's uncle punched the dog owner, a woman, in the face, blinding her in her left eye.
Permanently?
Because blinded her, fucked up her orbital socket, destroyed her some shit in her eye, and scratched it all up, so she was blinded because her tree was growing into his yard.
You just trim it, man.
So he punched her,
punched a woman, and murked a dog.
And then the dog attacked him for punching her, so he murdered the dog. And so for all of these offenses, and I'm sure this isn't a first offense for his uncle, let's be honest.
Right, yeah.
If your first reaction to a tree growing into your yard is, I'm going to punch a woman in the face and then murder her dog, you probably have some priors.
So she can watch with her one good eye as I murder
her dog. I would say you probably have a prior or two, just to,
Certainly have a short fuse, Jesus.
There's something amiss there, either way.
Yeah.
So, Jesus Christ. So, while the uncle is in jail, by the way, because the uncle had a girlfriend, so he just stayed the kid back then they didn't keep real good track of children. So he was just staying with the uncle, and no one said, oh, the uncle's gone, so, like, we got to take this child and put him somewhere. The uncle's girlfriend lived in the house, so they just stayed there.
He's got a sitter.
Yeah, that's it, so it's fine.
It's a built-in sitter. He'll be fine.
So he's just with her. They're out one day, and friends of the woman next door burned their house down for killing the dog and punching her, so...
He's not even there, you guys.
He's not even there. Burned his house, though, so he has nowhere to come back to because he was supposed to be getting out of jail soon. And they were mad that he was getting out early, and so they burned his house down. So now now you ain't got nowhere to live. How you like that? Be better off in jail now, buddy, wouldn't you? So, yeah, this is fucking pretty harrowing for he's 5 at this point. Like,
what a place.
He's been through a lot here.
Yeah.
So then, Jesus Christ, my God, okay. I'm still reeling from the dog being killed and a woman getting her eye fucking battered and his parents.
Did he do it with his own hands, or did he have a weapon that he killed the dog? Did he, like, beat this dog to death?
No, he beat the dog to death. He didn't have anything to... I don't know if he grabbed, like, a rock or something, but he didn't shoot it. I know that much. Or stab it, so...
That's worse, right?
I would say it's way more brutal. It's way more brutal. Anytime we talk on Small Town Murder, we'll talk about somebody shooting somebody, unless it's like extra whatever. That's pretty standard. But when someone goes in with their bare hands and starts like ripping somebody apart, we go, okay, that person. It takes a little more mentally to do that, you know.
And tolerate the yipe from a dog that's injured is crazy.
It's pretty wild. Well, what about the yipe from a woman with a fucking?
I'm sure there was only one of those, and then it was just unbelievable sobbing and screaming.
After that, there's probably a lot of that.
The yipe is you consistently deliver a payload of punishment to this dog. That's crazy.
I also don't know how big of a dog this was. That's the other thing. I don't know if this is a Rottweiler where it was like a fight to the, where there was a brutal battle, or if this was a Chihuahua. He picked it up, twisted its fucking head around, and threw it to the ground, and that was the end of it. I'm not sure what that wasn't in the paper. There was none of that. They kind of went over this in a story of his later life when this happened.
They just glaze over that he beat a dog to death.
They glazed over because they kind of did a story about the plight of poor little Eddie here, because he's had probably the worst luck of any small child going in the central Ohio for a while, at least in this area that the newspaper people could pick up. So while they're doing a story about what I'm about to tell you, that's when they mention the uncle and the dog and the Christmas tree and the rest of it, okay? So he's in the custody of his aunt then. I don't know why his aunt wasn't the first choice, because she seems nice compared to sending him off with his uncle. I think it was a distance thing. Maybe the uncle was closer, probably.
You're saying she's never pounded an animal to death with her fists?
I don't think she has the capability of that, maybe.
Okay.
One night, this is how I think maybe she was nice. One night, she was heating up some milk for Eddie before bed, which people would do back then to, you have some warm milk, which I don't think you're supposed to do that now.
Evidently, that has properties of ZQuil. I didn't know.
Also, I think won't it, unless it's to a certain temperature, it's going to definitely have some stuff
hot will make
feeding in it.
Have diarrhea, right?
I feel like hot milk is always going to make you have diarrhea, wouldn't it?
Anytime the temperature of milk is elevated, it seems dangerous.
It can't be great, right?
There's so much bacteria in there. You're incubating bacteria.
I mean, you melt cheese and stuff like that, but milk feels like it really should stay in its cold state, But people steam it and put it in, make fucking coffee drinks and all that. So I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that's why.
As long as it's a flash heating?
Maybe it's just to a certain. You really got to heat it up high. Maybe that's what it is. Fast,
fucking go now,
like a blast.
Fast blast kills the bacteria and it doesn't culture. But if you do it slow, that gives it the opportunity to expand, and then all of a sudden you got fucking botulism.
Botulism, and you're shitting yourself out of every orifice. Shit coming out of your nose. You can't help it. It's everywhere.
Shit out of your ear.
You never know what's going to happen. So. I don't know whether this is good or bad, but it's sweet at the time. She's heating up milk for Eddie before bed, and Eddie must feel better about this anyway. At least there's this. Jesus Christ, this guy, he's never going to have a lit candle or anything in his house ever, because his aunt, while heating it up on the stove, caught her nightgown on fire.
Oh, no.
Her nightgown. Now, the house doesn't burn down. That's good. But the nightgown, and back then, nightgowns aren't really made of fire retardant things or anything like that. They go up in flames and immediately melt to your body.
They're made of gasoline and cotton.
They're made of gasoline and petroleum jelly. So they're made to just fucking...
They're a very thin plastic that once they get on fire, they stick to you and burn the rest of you.
They merge with your skin is how it works. It just integrates itself with your skin.
Grafts to your chest.
Like when I was a kid, we had in the woods, for some reason, somebody threw away an old couch, so we took the cushions from it and we hung this cushion up from a tree and we lit it on fire for some reason. I don't know. We were like 12. And if you light a couch cushion on fire, drippings come down of this.
Yeah.
And they go, you can hear them come
crazy?
down. Oh, yeah. I still have a scar on my hand. It's right here. 2 scars from blank, them hitting my hand.
Did you try to drink it?
No. It just, I got a little too close to it and it dripped. 2 little drops got on my one hand.
God
holy shit. When you rip it off, all the skin comes with it.
Yeah.
It's pretty gross. So, not to make fun of this poor woman being on fire, but she catches on fire, causing 3rd-degree burns over 60% of her body.
So much.
That's insane. So it stuck to her skin, melted.
Yeah.
It was terrible for her. So Eddie is now he's at a family to go to at this point.
Yeah.
So Eddie is sent to a local family. He was like a friend of the family at that point. They decided it was too much to take in this extra kid. And so he ends up in an orphanage after that. So a lot of orphanage stories lately. You know what I mean? So he is, remember last week we talked about the orphan trains, that would send kids to farmlands and shit like that. This is kind of the tail end of, they weren't sending them to farms anymore or anything like that. They weren't sending them as like indentured servants like they were in the 20s. But this is kind of the last of the sending them to they would shop them to outposts, basically. Like, there's nobody around here that'll take them, so we'll put them, someone in the middle of nowhere will take them. It was kind of the last gasp of that sort of thing.
So wild.
So that's how he ended up in Hawaii, because he is adopted by a Hawaiian family there. The woman is native and the man is from the mainland, and they got married. And they end up adopting him. Yeah.
He hit the lottery now.
Central Ohio to Hawaii is a pretty good move.
It's not bad.
That's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
No offense,
Pipeline
Central
in Hawaii
and
Pipeline in Ohio are entirely different.
Totally different things. That's part of a meth pipeline is what that is in Ohio. Plus, no offense to Central Ohio, but Gus's Cheese Barn or whatever the fuck that place is that we stopped at.
Grandpa's Cheese Barn.
Can't compare to the North Shore. It just doesn't. So I'm sorry. It just can't. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just not. So his father was a pineapple guy for Dole, for the Dole Company. That's how he moved there. He worked for Dole. He was something to do with the production of pineapples. He wasn't like picking them or anything, but he was in I don't know if he's middle pineapple management or whatever the fuck. Yeah. One day though, Eddie used to go to work with his dad all the time. I don't know why, but he went to work with him. One day, his foster father, Frank, gets into an argument, and the man who he gets in an argument with was a pineapple picker guy, and he beat his father to death in front of Eddie, his foster father, at work.
With his hands.
With his hands and pineapples, according to the newspaper. He used, he hit his head with pineapples are hard, and he hit him in the head with a pineapple, and he also
somebody with one.
It's not a rock, but I guess if it's handy.
Yeah.
Imagine seeing that. Number one.
Imagine seeing a pineapple bush in the first place. The pickers, those things are insane. They're a weapon for sure.
Oh, yeah, they're pointy. They're hard.
There's so many thorns on those things.
They're nasty.
I can't believe somebody got to one to eat one in the first place.
It must have really
for us to all know. Yeah,
really have to, and some endurance, some stick-to-itiveness to want to get in there. There's got to be something delicious in here. Look at all the thorns. It must be good. It's protecting itself.
Protecting gold. Oh my God, it's gold inside.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's incredible. Meanwhile, coconut, it's rock hard and it protects shit. Sorry, I'm allergic to coconut. Yeah, a lot of people love coconut, and it's not really fair for me to besmirch it just because my body rejects it. Makes
The
my
water's
mouth
not
swell up.
fantastic, but the actual thing, I don't mind it.
That'll make you shit yourself.
Yeah.
You want to shit yourself good.
Yeah, it tastes like pedicure water.
No shit. Oh my God. So, okay. I don't know. I was saying, imagine seeing this.
Yeah.
Number one, because if you broke open a pineapple, you'd be like, oh, that smells lovely, but my father's also dead. So while this is going on, Eddie runs off away from the scene because he's scared because he's a child. I think he's like 8 at this point. So
And he's already witnessed way too much
death, destroy everybody he's around. If you like Eddie, you're going to die, period. That's it. It's a curse. Like, he's a cursed child.
At minimum, you're losing an eye.
You ever see the Brady Bunch when they go over and they get cursed because they pick up a little, a little tiki from somewhere or something, and it ends up there's a spider. I don't know. There's all sorts of weird
bad
shit.
luck all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know. Greg loses part of his dick, I think. The tip gets lopped off. I don't know what happens. Thank God. But, yeah, that's what happens there. So Eddie runs off. His foster mother, this is fucking amazing.
The native lady.
The native lady who, his foster mother doesn't look for him. Because I guess it was the dad's idea to get him, so she just doesn't look for him.
Well, I mean, he can't go far. Everywhere he goes, he'll eventually run into water.
He'll hit water. You can find him on an island. Hey, you start from one end and just go to the other. Eventually, you're going to run into the fucking kid.
He'll pinball around until he crosses your path eventually.
Anybody seen a kid, with like 12 dead parents who's probably hungry? Anybody? But definitely doesn't want pineapples or warm milk? Anybody? Anybody see that? And hates Christmas?
Find a kid, yes.
Anybody? He's got a fuck Santa Claus shirt on. That's the last thing he was seen in. I don't know what. If that helps anybody look for him.
Kid that's allergic to sleigh bells. You seen him?
It's fucking whose story's more harrowing? Him or fucking the last one? Him or Barboza? I'm not even sure.
This is fascinating.
I guess this is fascinating because he moves around a little bit here. So either way, she doesn't look for him. Yeah. So Eddie he's in Oahu. He just wanders the streets of Oahu as a homeless child.
Like 9? How old is he?
8, 9?
Yeah.
At this point.
Wow.
Just wanders. There's
a place to be homeless, I'm telling you.
This is right before, a couple of years before Hawaiian statehood, I believe, too. Okay. So, I mean, it's just like, it's a territory, and he's just wandering.
It's not even a state.
He ends up he finds the North Shore. That's what he gets into. And he is kind of fascinated by surfing. Yep. So being this urchin, orphan, fucking Tiny Tim child left out in the whatever, he's basically taken in by a group of local surfers and beach bums who keep him as like a mascot, basically. Like he's like he's like the gang's mascot. Like, hey, send little fucking Eddie over there. Yeah, there he goes, Fast Eddie. There he is.
Nobody bother with him sexually. Just let him be.
That's it. Oh, yeah, he would be sent in to like steal shit from stores because he looked innocent and shit like that.
He's part of that.
Yeah, no, he's not killing anybody, but they'd be like, hey, go steal like this, and they'd send him in to steal stuff because he's 9.
2 steaks, nobody will stop you.
He looks innocent as fuck. Yeah, looks like this cute little innocent kid, and they're all kind of, they have a certain look that he doesn't have. They're adults and teenagers.
Sweat runs down their face.
Yeah. By the time he's 10, they got him stealing cars.
Wow.
Mugging tourists, that sort of shit,
Okay, mugging tourists I can see, but stealing vehicles, that seems like a lost cause. Somewhere where you can't really get away.
Well, the thing is, on an island, that's true. But also, car parts over there are probably worth a lot because they have to be shipped over. So when you chop it, it's probably a lot more. But you have to have somewhere to put the rest of it. What do you just dump it in the ocean? The part you don't use. Put the frame in the ocean. I don't know. Just there's a deep part.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do here. But yeah, I also too. You have when you have a kid that young, he gets arrested for it. It's not a big deal. They probably won't even get in trouble. Yeah, it'll go away. He's 10. Where if you got a 17-year-old with a record, it's a different story. So at one point, one of his friends in the gang was actually actually tried to save a tourist in the ocean. The tourist was. Yeah, I guess he had a kelp issue. He was tangled in some shit and he couldn't get out.
Did you forget there's fucking live shit in there, you asshole?
I don't know if forgot's the right word or never knew or thought about it because it was just somebody going to Hawaii fucking around in the water and thought, hey, this is beautiful, isn't it? Oh, God, I'm going to die out here. So one of his surf thug friends actually tried to help him, and by helping him, his friend ended up getting caught in some sort of tidal thing and sucked away, and then a wave came and his friend drowned. So,
oh, my God.
And the tourist survived. So
the current pushed him free of the kelp and guided him safely ashore.
While this guy was sucked out into the ocean and drowned. That's how it works. Why? He was nice to Eddie. That's the thing. Never be nice to Eddie.
Because he knew Eddie.
He's fucking cursed, I'm telling you. Cursed. It's ridiculous, dude. This fucking guy, man.
He floats safely ashore, and Eddie goes, hi, I'm Eddie. And he goes, don't talk to me, kid.
Yeah, everybody get away from Eddie. Oh, shit, it's Eddie. Run. And they all take off. Don't look him in the eye. He's like Medusa and shit. You will definitely be murdered.
The worst luck of your life is coming.
It's coming. Eddie, he's almost like he gives it off like osmosis. He has the worst luck, and he just rubs it onto you. It's fucking terrible. So he hated tourists after that, and especially surf tourists, anybody in the water. He really, you know how there's that locals only anti thing? He's a big part of this, as we'll talk about in Hawaii, especially. He was a big part of starting this, and this is why. This is where it came from, an incident with his friend dying. So
going for this asshole from fucking Kansas.
Some dipshit, whoever he is, some asshole
Dodge
came
City
over
tourist.
there, saw a fucking, this was before Endless Summer, but, heard about surfing and was like, that sounds like fun. I'd like to stand there. Saw those stupid early 60s beach surf films and was like, I want to be Frankie Avalon.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Perfect.
Frankie and Annette are a lovely couple.
They're perfect. So they also, though, teach him how to surf. Not only does his local thug friends teach him how to mug people and all this, but he also gets very, very much into surfing with a group of people they're like the Point Break gang, sort of, except they don't rob banks. They're more low level than that. Mm-hmm. So he kind of starts mixing up with them. He becomes an absolutely fearless surfer because he's got to feel like he has nothing to lose at this point.
I mean, he's been around so much death and he's still alive. You probably feel pretty invincible.
Yeah. Fires and everything else. Yeah, you feel like you're probably – and also – He's around a bunch of older people who are been surfing a long time, and he's just trying to emulate them. He doesn't want to look like a pussy. I think too, like it's you're the smallest and the youngest. You want to act like you're you don't want to seem too weak. You want to show that you've got some balls. You know what I mean? So one time here, he ends up taking over the gang at age 15.
It's not his gang.
There's people who are like, 20s, late teens to like 30s in this gang.
Yeah.
And he's going to take over at 15. He's by far the youngest person around. Like, it's silly. The leader of the gang is 35 years old, and Eddie wrests control away from him by one day when he's surfing here, the other guy. What Eddie does is the guy is out past dark. So what Eddie does is Eddie hires 3 guys that he hired from Honolulu to come over and fucking get over. There's a bunch of rocks and shit over here. It's a cool spot. I've seen the picture. It's a dope spot. It looks beautiful. Except if there's 3 guys waiting for you to come in from finishing surfing, and what they do is they grab this guy and bash him against the rocks until he's dead, and then fucking just push him and his surfboard out there in the water.
He hired murderers.
Yeah, that's it. So this guy,
and so it looks like he just fell off his board.
It looks
and got
like
beat against the rock.
Looks like he got fucking lost his balance in a wave and got bashed into the rocks.
God.
That's how it works, and they can't prove anything. It's
15, and this kid's fucking diabolical.
It's 1964, for Christ's sake. So they're not. There's no way to prove anything. They're just like, well, another one of them surfers bashed into the rocks. I don't know. Shovel him up and throw him in a fucking bin. That was that. So I mean, so at 15, a fucking fire orphan is now leader of a gang of adult surf thugs at 15 years old,
who he's having murked through.
Yes.
And to make it look like an accident. He is a terrifying young man.
He even knew enough, like a mob guy, to bring in outside people, not even people he was involved. Like, he didn't try to get a couple guys in the gang to do it. He hired outside guys so it would be not connect to him, which is like, that's crazy shit for a child.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of future does that person have?
Ooh-wee.
I mean, at 15, Dahmer was like just staring at joggers, fantasizing. He wasn't fucking. Think about it. He's got a future, this guy. And fucking, it's crazy, right? I mean, the only thing crazier than that is that none of that is true. It's the only thing crazier. None of that's true. He's Jewish. There definitely was no Christmas tree. He's Jewish. Fast Eddie Rothman's Jewish. He's absolutely no Christmas tree.
On fire?
None of that. Yeah, it's burning bush. None of it's true. None of that's true, actually.
Where's he from?
Philadelphia. He's a Jewish kid from inner city Philadelphia.
And he wound up in Hawaii?
Yeah, that's what there's a couple similarities, but it's not anything near what it was. And
he's a Jewish kid from Philly.
It's been a long time since we put one of those out, and I figured after Barboza's real story last week, anything's believable, right? The last couple stories that we've heard. That's what I mean. And the last couple stories we've heard, this shit sounds more credible than those, and those were 100% true. So
I thought last week was going to be fake.
Right? That's what I mean.
So I'm all in.
Shit. That's I figured, we fooled you there. So hopefully. So yeah, born
all
inner
the dogs are okay?
All the dogs are fine. The woman's orbital socket's fine. Nobody's tree was anywhere. I don't know if he has an uncle or an aunt. His aunt was not burned up in a fire. No warm milk. There's no kelp dead friend who was dragged out in the ocean. He didn't murder a 35-year-old.
Still bad to slowly heat.
I think milk still will make you shit your brains out if you heat it slowly, though. That's for sure.
Flash heat it, you guys.
That part's factual. The rest of it, absolute bullshit. So.
Fantastic.
Sorry to waste a half hour of your time, but I feel like
I would rather it be that way than any other way.
Let me tell you something. When you go see stand-up comedy, about 12% of what that person says is true. They didn't do this last week, and none of that happened. That's just something that they thought it'd be crazy if this happened, or the tip of the story happened. And
they did shit their pants, but it was not a funny situation. It was just sad and shameful, and they had to make it funny so that you would laugh at it.
It was just an adult person not controlling their bowels properly. It has nothing. There's nothing funny about it. But if you twist some stuff, boy, this could really be something.
And now you're distracted from paying $17 for a Mai Tai.
That's right. Only difference is on the show, we will tell you what's real and what's not. So that's the difference. On a comedy show, we're not going to tell you.
None of that happened.
Here, we'll tell you when it's. Imagine after a comedy show, every joke, if you said that, you go, well, actually, the only part of it that was true was this, that, and this. People would be like, oh.
His encore is just a comedian coming out with a PowerPoint going, and joke one.
Sitting up on the stool, like real, with the mic in both hands up to his face, just like, okay, I'll tell you what happened.
Stoic.
Real stoic. Doing a Q&A.
Yeah. It's like, and then I asked my server where the shitty part of town is.
And then I asked him, and he said Apache Junction, and I said thank you. Or I asked the opener, hey, what's the part of town everybody laughs at? How many of those have you been asked in your life when we used to open for people? Remember that shit?
So many times. They just go, hey, let me ask you something. I just go, Apache Junction.
Yep, exactly. If it's Apache Junction. You ever wanted to give them the wrong thing just to fuck with them?
I've wanted to tell
have them say it and watch them bomb.
Paradise Valley.
Yeah, just Paradise Valley. Just have some really famous comedian go up there and have people looking at him like, that doesn't even make sense, bro. That's nice. That's power, but you can't do that.
Can't do that.
Can't do
you
that.
You won't work tomorrow.
You won't work tomorrow. Yeah, that dude will be pissed when he comes back. You're like, I don't know. I think it sucks. I don't know.
I don't know, but watching you panic when the crowd didn't laugh was funny for me.
That was funny for me. A good comic would appreciate that, because who cares? It's some set on a Friday night. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? A good comic would laugh.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing you said up there.
That's what a good comic would say. Well, that's the funniest thing you did tonight. So take that as a compliment and an insult.
Paradise Valley, it's a real weird, not very aptly named town, right? I know, it sounds weird. It sounds great, but it's not. It's a piece
then there's all these trailer parks. It's like Paradise Valley. People like, huh?
What?
What? You know, it's like, fuck you. My fucking opener's a cocksucker, okay? He's a dick. He told me. What's the shit town?
Trailer parks, like Paradise Valley.
Oh, my God. Okay. All right. So back to actual Fast Eddie here. He's born in inner city Philadelphia. He is Jewish, like we said, so no Christmas tree. He was raised, though, in Southern California. So that's where his love of the ocean came from.
That'll do it, yeah.
And in reality, he says, quote, my parents threw me out at 13.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's worse?
That's what I mean. It's not much different. That's what I'm saying.
I bet he wished they died in a car accident on Christmas.
At least if they died, it wasn't by choice. They didn't choose to not want to spend time with you anymore. They couldn't help it.
Jesus.
They've been called away. Yeah. So his father, nobody really looked for him. That's the thing. They threw him out, and they were just like, there, you're good. You're 13.
Yeah.
So what he did was he ends up somehow, by the way, in Southern California, he was learning to surf and shit like that.
Yeah.
He ends up scraping up enough money to go to Hawaii as a child. Really? Literally on his own, as a 13, 14-year-old, he scrapes up enough money to fly to Hawaii, and he just stays there from then on.
Amazing.
That's what I mean. It's pretty wild here. He is raised by some foster parents there.
Uh-huh.
So he's not on the street or anything like that. But he ends up trying a bunch of different things, but surfing becomes his main thing. He gets known for surfing. And
in the 60s.
In the 60s, yeah. He becomes kind of part of this whole culture and very much ingrained in the local culture, even though he's not from here. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, they end up accepting him. There's this article where they're saying most people just think he's Hawaiian. They just think he's native, or at least half native. They say in Hawaii, a lot of people say they're half native. That's what, because fucking white people moved there and they saw how beautiful it was, and there you go. So,
ever heard of Pearl Harbor? My parents were. My dad was here, and obviously now I am.
Once they stayed there, they were like, "Oh shit, this is nice." But he was born Jewish in Philadelphia, and of that, he says, "Holy balls." Quote, I don't know nothing about Jew stuff, but once this lady on the North Shore made me some Jew food and it was good.
What?
That's what he said, man. That's his quote. I don't know nothing about Jew stuff. That's okay. He didn't.
Nothing?
Don't know nothing about it. And for him, he didn't mean it like, I don't like it. That's just how he talks. So he just, I don't know nothing about don't Jew stuff. That's just how he is. Jew stuff. But once this lady on the North Shore made me some Jew food and it was good. That's his quote.
All right.
But he's Jewish. I mean, he just doesn't know. He's never really in the culture, in Jewish culture, so he doesn't really know anything. Yeah. But you'll see, that's just how he speaks. He speaks very gruffly all the time about everything. He said his mother physically abused him when he was a boy as well, when he was younger. So after she left, that's when his father moved to Long Beach, California, and you'd think everything would be better now. You got abusive mom out of the picture, and you moved to Southern California in the 60s. That's pretty nice, you know?
Great time to be there.
Absolutely. It's like Blow over there, but even better because it's before all the shit's happening. He says, quote, my father would fucking beat the shit out of me because I was little, and that made him mad.
That's not going to make you bigger. Why would he do that?
Grow, you little fucker, grow. I'll give you the back of my fucking hand if you don't start growing. You go to sleep tonight and think tall thoughts. No, I'm not making you warm milk. Remember what happened to that lady? Jesus, get long. He is only 5'6" when he grows up, and I guess his dad wanted him to be longer, and so he's very upset about it. Yeah, I'm not sure. So eventually, Eddie, though, when he's 14 years old, that's when he stole enough money from his father to get a one-way ticket to Honolulu, and that's how he ended up in Hawaii. Yeah. And
that's got to be beneficial for surfing, right? To be shorter, to be like a lower center of gravity on a board like that?
I can't imagine it wouldn't hurt. It would hurt because like I just know skateboarding, and I assume staying upright on something that's moving. Right. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar properties. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like everybody. I've never snowboarded, but everybody always tells me if you know how to skateboard, you'll pick it up fast. Yeah. You already know how to lean and how to move and how to make shit, so you'll be fine. That's half the battle won.
Those boards you want, I think that you want it to be at your shoulder height. I think those boards are fucking huge, man. It's crazy. Yeah. It's like a sheet of plywood you're standing on almost.
Giant weird thing.
Yeah, it's a bizarre thing, but so being tall on a snowboard probably doesn't hurt.
But like skateboarding, you don't see it. Like Tony Hawk is pretty tall, but you don't see a lot of tall skaters.
Same size board, right?
You don't see a lot of tall skaters, though. It's not. I assume it's easier if you have a lower center of gravity to.
Right.
You know, there's less of you.
Your feet kind of stand on the deck a little easier if you're a little guy.
Yeah, maybe smaller feet would help because like on a skateboard, that's if you have size 13 feet, you have to pick your board.
Oh God!
I know for me, I can't.
You're on
certain
the bridge
boards.
Of your foot.
Certain boards I can't take like a very small board like an 8. I can't ride because it's an 8 1/4. It fucks me up because it's too small. My fucking feet are hanging off everywhere. It's no good. Right. No control.
But you can also, with that, you can manipulate the board easier, you know what I mean, than the little feet.
Yeah. Feels like you're falling off it, though. You don't have anywhere to really land because if you land...
that motherfucker everywhere, though.
Unless you land perfect, you're falling off because you're hanging off anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It was hard enough to learn to fucking ollie. With my tiny fucking feet.
Yeah, you needed a smaller board, probably.
It was me jumping. The board just kept going.
Boop! Hey, there it goes.
Jump! Shit. I'm like his dad screaming at it. I told you to jump. God damn it!
Jump taller, higher. So he'd surfed in California, like we said. He'd seen a bunch of, surf film shit about Hawaii, and that was the dream. So he wanted to go there. He just pops up 14 years old in Honolulu without knowing a soul.
Nobody.
Didn't know anybody. He just said he liked it there. He was in Honolulu for a few years, and what he would do is he'd fly back to Southern California, pick up a shitload of weed, and bring it back to Hawaii.
Okay.
That's what he would do. So that was his jam. He in Long Beach, when his father moved out there with him, he went to school briefly out there. He said, quote, I went to school a couple of times, but the school told me if I didn't show up, they would pass me. So he was like, all right, and just didn't show up.
Well, why would I be here?
That's very strange here. So at 16, he moves to the North Shore, and he's doing great. He's people to sell weed to. He also starts, he's selling weed, he's stealing cars, having them chopped up. So it's very similar to the fake story here, just a less tragic, beginning to it.
Less pity.
Yeah. So one day he is at Sunset Beach and he is breaking into cars.
Okay.
And while he's breaking into cars, he runs into a group of local kids who were also breaking into cars.
Oh.
So they were like in the same parking lot breaking into cars, and they were like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you up to? Hey, we're both, we'll we'll just do it together then. Yeah. We'll join us, I guess.
One goes in the passenger side, one goes in the driver's side. Hey.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on? Whoa. What's going on? They do like mirror each other's movements up and down, back and forth.
Picks his nose. Hey, you're not me.
Oh, you're not me. God damn it. I was confused there. So he says he's asked later on, how did they come to accept you, being that you're a Jewish kid from the mainland,
right,
and you're here? He says, quote, I don't talk good, which we found earlier that he doesn't.
He's from Philly.
He's from Philly and doesn't have really much of an education either, and Right. He says, quote, I have bad speech like them, so it was easy, and everything went from there. I sounded like them, and they just accepted that I was like them. That's all. They're just like, yeah, you're all breaking into cars, and everybody seems kind of not speaking well and breaking into cars and around the same age, so let's be pals, I guess.
Become friends? We're both dumb as shit.
Oh, it's general dumbness and criminality is how we got together.
And we don't communicate with each other very well.
It's just lack of communication.
A lot of hand signals and grunting.
Criminal predilections, things like that, basically. A lot of hold up two fingers and,
A lot of pointing at things.
Yeah, some grunting mixed in there. That's what I do. Yeah, he just never, I don't know what it was. Like, he just never really got, I feel like he's almost raised feral, Eddie. So it's like he never really picked up on a lot, and these kids are the same thing. Is they don't really have good upbringings, all the kids that he's hanging out with. So none of them speak well. None of them went to school really. None of them. It's just the way it is. So he ended up also becoming kind of an enforcer at this time for people. Yeah, he would collect debts and shit like that. He's a little guy, but he's tough as balls. We'll find out through this whole deal. He said he's asked in an interview, were you kind of adopted by the Hawaiians? And he said, quote, they didn't adopt shit. I proved myself every fucking day. I proved myself with these. And he holds up his fists.
This is so much fun.
This is when he's like 65. This interview is from, by the way. He's talking about, these quotes that I'm bringing up right now. Or
they didn't adopt shit.
They didn't adopt shit. Jesus Christ. If I would have interwoven these quotes with my fake story, that shit was bulletproof. It was nobody would have doubted it for a fucking second. Right?
Nobody questions anything.
Nothing. So
and we don't even tell them until the end of the show.
That would be amazing. By the way, part of that, it would have just been so hard to unwind it and tell you, well, that was true, but this wasn't, and that was not. No, that was true. He did say he doesn't know nothing about Jewish stuff. That was true. That's true.
And the Hawaiians don't adopt shit.
They didn't adopt shit. Prove myself every fucking day. So May 5th, 1972. He's been doing this. He's about 23 years old. He's been going back and forth with weed, doing his thing. He is at the San Diego airport this day. Yeah, that's not a good sign. He buys a plane ticket to Hawaii at the Western Airlines counter at the San Diego airport. That's an
Western Airlines.
No longer exists, obviously.
Never heard of it.
So the ticket agent believes that he fit the FAA profile of potential airplane hijackers.
Oh.
Now, you have to understand, at this time, late 60s through the mid-70s, skyjackings were an enormous thing. I mean, that was like every day there was another skyjacking. It was front page of the newspapers. It was on everybody's mind. People were talking about Vietnam and fucking skyjackings. That's what it was. And Watergate. I mean, those were the things. So that's how big it was. So,
but the skyjackings then were not to crash it into anything.
No,
it was to get the fucking ransom for all the people on board, and they'd fucking pay it. So why not do it?
Either ransom or it was to land somewhere, hold the plane hostage in exchange for a prisoner being let out somewhere. That was another thing they would do. It was all sorts of different things that were going on there.
Rarely to hurt anybody.
They definitely wasn't to crash anything. There was no suicide, hijackings at the time that I know of anyway. So Fast Eddie goes, maybe he said, I'm Fast Eddie. And they were like, I don't know about that. That sounds suspicious. So he goes to the boarding gate. There, he passes through the metal detector without activating it. Nothing like that. Doesn't have any guns on him. Then he's detained, though, by a United States Marshal who had been told by the ticket counter person that he fit the profile. Okay, so they ask him his name, and Fast Eddie says his name is Roberts and that he has no identification on him.
Well, that's illegal.
That's okay. So then Fast Eddie puts his jacket on the counter in front of the deputy there. The deputy reaches into the jacket pocket thinking that there's a bulge in a pocket, and he thinks it's a weapon. So he reaches in, finds money and keys. So there's no gun. There's no weapon in his bag. So at that point, Rothman ends up pulling his identification out of his wallet.
Oh.
And it shows that he's Fast Eddie Rothman. He's not Roberts. And they're like, okay, what the fuck's going on? Who are you? Why are you giving false names? What's the deal there? So he tells him, listen, we need to do a further ID check. And you're going to have to, we're going to have to bring you into the office and figure out who you are and all this shit before we're going to let you fly, basically. That's how it works. So while the deputy's unlocking the door to his office to take him in there, Fast Eddie grabs his right hand that he was unlocking the door with the key with and jerks him into the hallway, pulled him 3 feet away from the door.
Okay.
Pulls the deputy away. So he's immediately arrested for assaulting a federal officer at that point.
You can't grab him.
You can't do that. He yanked him too. He didn't go, hey buddy, and put his hand on him. He yanked him into a hallway. So he's handcuffed and given his Miranda warning and all that at the time. So his checked luggage at that point is, since he's under arrest, his checked luggage is removed from the plane and brought into the office here, where he's being held by the deputy. The deputy asks Fast Eddie if he could search the luggage. What do you think? And Fast Eddie said, no, you can't search my luggage. So the deputy calls the FBI, asking that agents be sent over to investigate the assault charge, because that's their jurisdiction. So while they're waiting, and there's about a 45-minute conversation between Fast Eddie and the deputy, which they talk about the fact that they make a reference to Fast Eddie asks about the possible punishment for assaulting a federal officer. By the way, what am I looking at for that? What's the damage? Deputy told him 3 to 5 years is a sentencing guideline on that one. So the FBI arrives. They interrogate him at length about whatever the fuck, are you a terrorist and everything like that. Then they go into an adjoining room. So at some point during that time, Fast Eddie, they remove the handcuffs from him, and then he's handcuffed again in front of him. So he's not, it's hard to sit and talk when your hands are handcuffed behind your back. Once his hands are in front of him, here's the conversation. Fast Eddie says, why don't you just go ahead and open the bags? So the deputy says, no, if you refuse to open them, I don't want to open them now. He said, we can get a search warrant, and we'll probably will later on. So that's how we'll do this. So Fast Eddie said, what's the use of going through all this? Go ahead and open the bags. It's okay. He says, don't worry about it. So the deputy says, no, I don't want to open them now. I won't do it. Why don't you open it now? The keys are laying on the desk. If you want to open it, go ahead. Okay. So there. At this point, Fast Eddie took the keys that had been placed in front of him and opened his luggage.
Yeah.
They open up 39 kilos of weed in there.
Wow.
A kilo's 2.2 pounds. So
that's a lot. Yeah.
That's a shitload of weed in suitcases. That's a lot, man.
Why? He didn't have it on him. It was already in the belly of the plane. Why cause a scene? Just be like, no, I'm not a hijacker. This is me here.
That's crazy. I'm a surfer.
I'm just going to Hawaii. Leave me alone.
I live in Hawaii. I'm a surfer. Right. I came back to San Diego. I was surfing, and now I'm going back there.
My dad lives here. I'm going home.
Boom. Over. Nope. I'm Roberts. Don't open that door. Yank away.
Slap his hand.
Fucking moron. Exactly. So
why do all this?
He pops it open. 39 kilos of marijuana. He goes to court. He's found guilty of trafficking and all that sort of thing, which is probably pretty obvious there. He had it. He's found guilty. But then in 1974, he appeals it.
Oh.
And basically, he challenges the search, which is funny because he opened the suitcase.
They didn't search.
That's what's funny. But under the Fourth Amendment here, this is from the court document, warrantless searches with a few specifically established exceptions are unreasonable, they say. The government argues that Rothman voluntarily consented to the search and that the search was justified as incident to a lawful arrest and that the search was a valid administrative search and thus the motion to suppress was properly denied. Now, this is an interesting thing because let's say you get arrested in your car.
Yeah.
Okay, you're driving, they arrest you. They impound your car, now you're under arrest, they can search your car. Okay, let's say you got arrested for something else. They can search your car then. But if you're out somewhere and they arrest you, they then can't go search your house because you weren't in your house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Not
that's
connected. Right.
That's kind of the boundaries. It's kind of shit you have access to at the time.
Yeah.
Now, these are bags that he took in the airport, obviously, but then he put them down and put them on. So they're saying he didn't have access to. That's kind of like his house at that point. Is kind of how they're arguing it. Like that's
not part of the crime because the crime is a suspected hijacking. He's just now showing off. Look, I'm not a hijacker. I'd like you to see all my weed.
Yeah. Why would I hijack when I have all this weed? That'd be crazy. That'd be nuts. That'd be so stupid of me to do.
I was a suspected hijacker, not a trafficker. So I can go now.
Jesus, fucking idiots. Walks away. So he's trying to argue it like they're trying to argue it like the government's saying he brought his suitcases in, and when he brought his suitcases in, that whole airport's one continuous kind of a thing. That's his possessions that he just put on a plane that he was expecting to be rejoined with. It's not like it's far away from him. Right. This would kind of be like if you got arrested a block away from your car. Like, then what? You know what I mean? Is that car part of the search then? Or, you weren't in the car, though. It's kind of one of those things. So they said the government bears the initial burden of proving consent on this whole thing. That's how this works. The trial court found that the voluntary consent was based primarily upon his original refusal to permit the search. The trial court reasoned that because he was aware of his option to refuse, his eventual consent was voluntary. Like, he refused at first, so he obviously knew that he could refuse. Because when he refused, they didn't search. So then when he gave consent, they're saying that's obviously in full knowledge of being able to refuse consent. That's what they're saying. So it says in the court document, two competing concerns must be accommodated in determining the meaning of a voluntary consent, the legitimate need for such searches, and equally important requirements of assuring the absence of coercion. So that's why they're saying warrantless consent searches are permissible because they enable the police to investigate situations where the stigma and embarrassment of arrest or a far more extensive search pursuant to a warrant may be avoided. So that would be like Russell Wilson, or not Russell Wilson. He needs to be searched too for fucking signs of dementia. But besides him, Russell Williams.
Search him for signs of capability of playing football. Do that.
It's not very good, but at this moment in time. But the Russell Williams, the Canadian the Canadian BTK that I call him up there, he when they had him in the box there, once he admitted it all, he said, "Go." He told the cops to search his house. He was trying to keep it the least amount of embarrassment for his wife, and can you keep it low key and all that. So that's what they're kind of saying here. They said consent searches are a part of the standard investigatory techniques of law enforcement agencies. They normally occur on the highway or in a person's home or office, and under the informal and unstructured conditions. So they said in the present case, the competing concern of the policy is less significant than under normal consent search conditions. Rothman was arrested and handcuffed and had been in incommunicado custody for some time when he opened the bags. He was by no means in an informal atmosphere or on familiar grounds. Rather, he was arrested, handcuffed, isolated in a strange place, given a formal Miranda warning, then interrogated by 3 officers over a period of approximately 2 hours. Such an environment is akin to the specter of incommunicado police interrogation in some remote station house. They said, and this is squarely in opposition to the questioning environment contemplated when searches are held to be permissible. So the psychological atmosphere in which the consent is obtained is a critical factor in the determination of voluntariness. And they said that in looking at the factual issues of voluntariness, the court must be aware of the vulnerable subjective state of the defendant, as well as the possibility of subtly coercive police questions.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
with a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer.
I can really show you how to make some money.
And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
So, they said that we are compelled to hold that the consent was not voluntary because it was systematically, psychologically coerced. So okay. They said, moreover, this is not a case in which consent search was necessary or proper. If probable cause for a search was available, the officers had ample time to get a warrant. There was no risk that the evidence would be lost or destroyed or that Rothman would flee. They had everything in their custody, so they could have held it there for a week till they got a warrant and then searched it. Time is not of the essence. It's not like sometimes it's different when you have did you kidnap that child and is she still tied up in the basement? Where's the fucking basement? That's not one of these situations. It's a fucking suitcase full of weed. It's still a suitcase full of weed a week from now.
And he's arrested on attacking a federal officer. He's not going to go anywhere.
No, absolutely not. So they said, in short, there was no justification for the coercive officials' tactics which produced this consent. Said the trial court found the deputy had probable cause to arrest Rothman. We agree. That's for the assault. But the warrantless search incident to a lawful arrest under certain conditions, blah, blah, blah. So there you go. The government argues the search of Rothman's luggage was a valid search, incident to the indisputably valid arrest. But they said that the Supreme Court held that a search incident to an arrest must not go beyond the area which the defendant might have obtained either a weapon or something that could be used as evidence against him. Okay. If it's in the belly of the plane, he couldn't have done that. So that's what they're saying. He didn't have his luggage with him. It had been checked with the airline. He was immobilized. So the search can't be justified on grounds of protecting the officer or preserving evidence. And there you go. So they said there's an obvious danger nonetheless that the screening of the passengers and their carry-on luggage for weapons and explosives will be subverted into a general search for evidence of crime. If this occurs, courts will exclude the evidence obtained. So this, they're saying here, is they're using the FAA, they're using this airline shit in a whole different way in the 70s. They're saying we're only searching you for fucking guns and bombs and shit that you're going to hijack with, and the government should not be able to use that as an excuse to search people for drugs. That's what they're saying. That's what the court is saying here. This is an appeals court.
Did this change the way we do things now? Because now, once you walk into an airport, anything on you is subject to search.
Absolutely. That's 9/11. That was like that.
Was it just 9/11 that did that? Because before 9/11, they would ask you all kinds of things about your luggage.
They just asked if that was more about bombs, though. Did someone else pack your luggage?
Right.
Have you taken some strange bag that could be Is it ticking? Things like that. They'd ask you. Did a stranger give you a ticking suitcase and tell you to bring it to Dubai for him? Anything like that? No.
Is your bag warm? Have you seen an altimeter placed in there? Have you heard of an altimeter?
Do you know what that is at all?
Did they tell you to make a wish at 3,000 feet?
That's what's happening. So I know now, like TSA is not looking for that shit.
Yeah.
Like they tell those people, don't go looking for fucking weed and drugs and shit like that because we'll never get anyone through this fucking line. Like, if it can't kill somebody or it's made of liquid, it goes through. Just fucking put it the fuck through. They literally tell them, don't worry about it.
Or throw it in the trash. That's all they do.
Yeah, they'll throw it in the trash.
I had one of those teeny tiny fucking Delta bottles in my bag. And I forgot about it because I just grabbed my backpack and started packing it, and I go through
from the last trip.
Yeah, and they pull my bag out, and I'm like, "What is this? There's nothing in there." And the guy goes, he opens it, and then he holds it up and
hey,
he
dipshit,
shook it in my face.
And
I was like,
ask,
that.
Do you want to go all the way out back out of the line to have this water, or would you like to throw it out?
Yeah. Or do you want to ship it home?
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm good. Throw it in the trash.
They should have like a FedEx representative right there, which is like, I can ship that home for you right now. Box it up.
It fits, it ships.
If it fits, it ships, babe. Let's do it. So this whole thing is reversed, and the trafficking, all the conviction is reversed. He's let out of prison. Everything's great.
That's
Grace.
the most keys ever.
Grace, 39 kilos. You're good. Grace. Wow.
39 keys, and they're like, go home.
Go home. You're all right.
Wow.
Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? So 1976, he's out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
He's 27. He becomes he starts a club, basically. Yeah. It's a gang at the time, but it becomes more of a club later on. It is he and a guy named Tony Squiddy Sanchez. Squiddy is his nickname. Yeah. Squiddy. So they start this club known as, oh, Jesus, how do I say this?
Oh, boy. It's Hawaiian?
Yeah, I don't know how you fucking say it. Oh, no, I did. It's Dahui is how you say it. Dahui. That's how you say it. I looked it up, and now it makes sense to me. It means the pack or the family. It's basically the Hawaiian mafia. That's I guess their thing for mafia would be like, Cosa Nostra or whatever, this thing of ours, mafia. Yeah. Either way, that's what it is. So it's kind of their mafia word. And they're called the black shorts or the black trunks all the time. Okay. Because they all wear just plain black swim trunks. That's all they wear. So that's like, you can tell who's on the team because that's what they wear. Plain black swim trunks, nothing else. Like Mike Tyson going out there.
Yeah.
Totally into that.
Goth kid from What About Bob?
Or, that kid too. Sigmund. Little Ziggy.
Always, do you have anything other than black?
And the kid knew what was up. He's good.
Yeah.
So they're like, these two started, and it's a surf group, and it's a lot of it is he says to regulate local surf spots and prevent mainlanders from disrespecting Hawaiians.
Okay.
In the surf spot. So this is to police people who think they can come there and surf.
Okay.
Just because you spent thousands of dollars to come here to surf doesn't mean you're allowed to surf, is basically what they're saying.
Okay.
So, there you go. It's pretty fucking interesting. Here's a guy, a surf writer named Chaz Smith. This is what he said about Eddie Rothman in Playboy magazine.
In Playboy?
In Playboy magazine, he wrote about the group. Uh-huh. Yeah, Eddie's very famous. He gets around a lot. Wow. Like he's everywhere. This guy says, quote, rumors and whispers about his penchant for violence haunt the North Shore. Brave surfers speak of him in hushed tones, afraid they might turn around and see him standing there and then see the darkness of a knockout.
Oh.
Yeah, Eddie is a bad motherfucker. Like,
he just blasts people.
There's no doubt about we will never go to the islands after this. Never. Because he will have us fucking drowned probably. I'm not sure. I don't know. Allegedly. Yeah. But I don't want to make him angry and then go there because there's a lot of people that'll do bad things to us possibly. So Eddie says, quote, the club started because of the influx of people. The local people were getting pushed out of the North Shore left and right. It seemed like the new guys that there was just no respect. When we started, we would surf each spot, starting at V-Land, and just make sure that nobody caught a wave except the local people. We cleaned it all up pretty quickly.
What?
It's crazy.
So you go all the way to Hawaii to surf, and this guy's going to make sure you don't.
Yeah, this guy's going to make sure you're not allowed to surf.
So do you cut their line to keep them from being able to get?
They beat the shit out of them. They just beat them up.
Wow.
Yeah, they just beat them up and go, anybody else fucking want it, or you guys want to get out of the water now? And then everybody leaves because it's a big group of fucking guys who are beating the shit out of people.
Wow.
So, and they say, you want to call the cops? You see any around? That's what they'll say. Like, fuck you. We're doing it our way, and go ahead and call the cops. We'll be gone way before they're here.
Wow.
And they'll probably take our side, so fuck off.
Yeah, because we're from here and you're not.
Well, they got to deal with us every day. You are only at the fucking Best Western or whatever. You're at the Radisson till, yeah. You check out 11 a.m. Sunday from the Radisson, so they still have to deal with us tomorrow.
Yeah, you got a 12-hour flight home, so get the fuck out of here.
That's kind of how it works. It's really weird. I don't really going around doing that. It's a lot like they did it in California too, a lot, just not to this extreme. But they were doing it in California because based on this, they thought that what these guys were doing were cool because they'd have articles and shit about it, and then they would go, "Oh, cool, we should do that too." In certain
Huntington
places,
Beach.
in Huntington Beach or whatever. If you watch like Dogtown and Z-Boys documentary, they talk a lot about that in the beginning, like. The guys would throw bottles at you and shit if you weren't a local. It's a locals only is a big thing for beaches. Yeah. It's a public beach, locals only. So I don't know, whatever. So he ends up forming this group there, basically based on that. By the way, in Hawaii, surf competitions, even like, real, what's the word I'm looking for? Like legitimate surf competitions, not legitimate, but another thing here, real like sanctioned surf competitions. In Hawaii, still most of them, locals go first. They take the first spots. Yeah, they surf first. It's like a locals first thing there. It's a weird thing. Those are the rules there. It's very interesting here. So these guys would enter competitions, and there was a lot of competitions around here, but they weren't like open to the public. They were invitational surf competitions they would have. This was like a real controlled environment here. It was,
qualify for it or be known enough for them to ask you to come.
So they got to have respect, I guess. It's a respect thing here. So he said that every tourist wanted every wave. And it changed everything, basically. It changed the whole, so they had to clean it all up. And he said, quote, I don't like to be feared. I don't want kids to be scared of me, but this place needed it. People just take advantage.
That's the thing about doing something that's cool. People are going to catch on that it's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's tough. And if you don't want people to do it also, it's difficult. This happens with some like small towns that people find and overrun it. This happens. It happens with things.
Yeah,
it just happens with things. Some restaurant that you like that turn. Oh, I bet. Well, but then again, that's how they make money.
Right.
Is with all that tourist shit.
Right. You get 1 day a year or 1 week a year. Call it one season a year that people give a shit about your town. Outside of that, they don't care. So you better take every dollar you can get.
Yeah, like Salem. Yeah, here they just, it was a different thing.
This is all year long.
So here, he does say he is a good guy, though. He does do good things. Sometimes violence isn't always bad.
Yeah.
Which, being an Italian person, I agree with that. So there's plenty of warranted violence out there.
Batman punches people.
It's all. So he says he recounts this to an interviewer to tell him how morally upstanding he is as well. He says, quote, see that right there? He points at a spot on the beach. He says, quote, years ago, there were some little girls playing on the sand, and this big guy came and, showed him his thing. And he points at his dick, okay? Yeah. All right, so you know what? Let's do it in their own words for the rest of it. I think his description of how he handled this, I feel like, should be definitely in his own words. Let's do in their own words, quote, "So I went over to the house. He was a big guy, and he was in there cleaning his gun, so I got scared. But I knocked on the door, and he answered, and then he made a move. I've always been a little guy, and so I just go on instinct, and pow, I hit him in the mouth. He knocked out, but woke back up and hit the ground and started moaning. His wife came running around the door, and they called the cops because I broke his jaw. But when the cops came, they couldn't say nothing because the guy would have to say why I cracked him. He was a lieutenant in the army or some shit. Fucking creep, but that's the last time he showed himself to any kids around there."
So he's Batman.
There you go. Yeah. He's my grandma, basically.
Stopping people from showing cranks to others.
He's my grandma sans apple knife.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. No. So he's saying it's not just me beating up surfers. I also will beat up kid diddlers, at least here.
Also avenge sexual pedophilia and
yeah. Apparently there's a big beef in the late 70s with Australian surfers that come over to surf the North Shore and don't show enough. And these are like really good surfers. They're known surfers, but they don't show the respect to the Hawaiians. So there's a lot of beef between the black trunks and the Aussie surfers.
Yeah. You're telling me Australians aren't respectful?
No, they're just leaving Foster's cans floating everywhere and shit.
Tell me,
it's not
Australians. Perhaps it's just a language barrier because some of their language does sound aggressive.
It sounds, maybe that's all it is. Maybe it is. Or maybe they were being a little trashy, and that's.
It's possible too.
Australia is basically Florida with an accent. So
it's Florida, Hawaii.
It's Florida, Hawaii. Yeah, just a lot of flip-flops and a lot of shorts and a lot of
shirts. A
lot of no shirts, and I've gotten that vibe. And when I ask our Aussie listeners once in a while, they say it sounds Florida sounds like a lot of Australia.
A lot of Australia, yeah.
It's pretty crazy there. So apparently there's a surfer named Rabbit Bartholomew, which is a hilarious name. That sounds made up. Yeah, Rabbit Bartholomew. I did not make that up, I promise. And I guess Eddie was threatening him and all these other surfers, and I guess Rabbit's a known, respected surfer because they weren't showing enough respect to the local surfers in Hawaii. Jesus Christ. This is late 1979, Australian surfers in the black shorts there, they were fighting. And I guess after a bunch of harassment, from what they called it, Australian surfers in Oahu, basically, they rented out a condominium complex with security guards to protect them, basically.
To keep him away.
Yeah. One of the surfers said they all got into fights in the water and so on. And they were, at some point, the Hawaiian surfers that weren't part of the black shorts were worried that, hey, we're not going to have any international competitions here and shit anymore. If these guys are if everyone's afraid to come here, that's not going to work. So
these guys flew halfway around the fucking world.
Yeah, this is crazy. So eventually they ended up getting a truce from the black shorts based on some certain, things they're going to do and be respectful and that's how the rules of locals get to go first in the competitions and all that kind of shit started. It was based on this. We won't beat you up, but you understand that you get leftovers of whatever we don't want.
The water wars of 1970.
Fucking 79 water wars, yeah. Kevin Costner was involved, floating around looking for waves.
One-eyed man on a jet ski.
You know how it goes. So there's a guy named Ian Cairns, and we'll hear from him plenty later on. Yeah. Cairns. Cairns?
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Ian. Ian traveled to Hawaii. He's been back and forth. And later on, he'll have to, whenever he goes to Hawaii, he has an undercover police officer remain with him because he pisses quite a few people off here. So he wrote an article in the Sydney, Australia Daily Telegraph in December 1977. Mm-hmm. He said that the black shorts had harassed Australian surfer Peter Townsend. I don't think it's not that I want you to show me the way, Peter Townsend. I don't think it's that Pete Townsend, probably. He comes alive and then he surfs. That's what he does. He sold 4 million copies of his album and was a great surfer that year. He really did a lot.
Love to hang time.
He's like, this is great. This makes me want to surf. So they say that this caused him to lose a contest. And he says that the next year, this Ian Cairns, when he went back to Hawaii, he started getting death threats. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This was the surfer that got death threats. The surfer said, it got to the point where I had a baseball bat in my board cover and a shotgun in my car. I mean, yeah, to protect against surfers who don't want you to surf. It's supposed to be like hey, brah, like the most laid back, chill thing. Yeah. And you're like, I got to arm up here.
Like I picture any surfer.
Got to tool up. I'm going to the fucking surf.
In the middle of a cove, waiting on a wave. It's almost a nice off for the other person to get the wave.
What are you talking about? Weed?
I'll go for the next one.
Yeah. What conversations could you be having?
Right.
It's pretty. I'm pretty stoned. So are you. That's the only conversations.
I don't know. I watched Forgetting Sarah Marshall. There was a lot of conversation out there.
There is. Well, one of the guys that we'll talk about later on was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, actually.
Really?
He got cast in it. Yeah, these guys end up in kind of mixed in with Hollywood and the whole deal because they become famous. So this guy with the shotgun, he says, I mean, I'm just a surfer. I'm not into drugs. I didn't do anything illegal. Why am I up to my neck in trouble? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, yeah, I'm not a drug dealer. I shouldn't have to walk around with a shotgun and a baseball bat.
Why do I have a 12 gauge in my car?
Yeah, right? So the writer, that Cairns guy, he says that he is concerned for surfing's image. He says, I know a lot of young surfers who won't even go to Hawaii at that time.
Yeah.
He said, people of my era, Pete Townsend, Rabbit Bartholomew, Mark Richards, have fought long and hard to get surfing to the stage where mothers think it's respectable and encourage their kids to do it. But these guys are dragging it down into the gutter. So, into the gutter.
No, who has ever thought that surfing is a lucrative career? You know what I mean? Like,
wow. I mean, you'd have to grow up in Hawaii on the North.
There's probably 15 guys that do it and make money to live their life.
I mean, I was going to say it's kind of like skateboarding, but at least skateboarding, you don't have to live in one of like 4 places in the world that have oceans that you could do this on. Skateboarding, you need like some concrete or a ramp and you're fine. Whereas you could do that. You could build one indoors if you really have to.
Yeah.
Whereas
climate controlled. This
surfing,
is just kind of,
you're really geographically dependent there.
And luck of the season, whether there's swells or not. Like, what if the waves just aren't happening?
Jimmy, I'll tell you, when I was a little kid growing up in Wappingers Falls, New York, there, I wanted to be a surfer more than anything, but the waves on the Hudson just couldn't. I never
couldn't sustain it.
Well, I never got the skills I needed to on the waves of the Hudson River to sustain my abilities. Never learned to ride the big ones. You know, it just never worked out for me. So I switched to skateboards as a child.
It's a lot of sitting.
Yeah. I mean, what do I have more of, concrete or ocean? All right, well, concrete it is.
And I'm sure, look, there's ocean on the east side of New York. I don't think it's much surfable.
There isn't a whole lot of surfing there, not nearly like this type of surfing. There's not these giant waves, unless there's a hurricane coming, and then watch the fuck out.
You're going to die.
Then you're also going to die. Yeah,
it's going to wash you right into the fucking Atlantic City.
Oh, God, that's worse than any other fate. You'd rather get sucked out into the ocean than end up in fucking Atlantic City. There's way more disease there than there would be just being sucked into an awful ocean.
You into Montauk Bay.
Ugh, not good. So 1984, he has a son, actually.
Okay.
Makuakai, I believe is how it's said.
Is that right?
Makuakai Rothman is his name. He is. It's his name, which is hilarious. I know. That's why I had to say it like that.
That's awesome.
You have to frame it as far as how funny that name is. It's
Put
a
lot
fine
of
name.
Pineapple and Spam on the Jewish cracker.
Yeah. Hey, can we have Spam? I don't know. Is that kosher? Is Spam kosher? You have to read the label. I don't think it's kosher. So Makuakai, I believe that's how you say it. I apologize if it's not. Yeah. That name means father of the sea.
Oh.
And this kid, from an early age, I mean, he is in the ocean, in the water, surfing,
sure.
and he will turn out to be a very He's a guy who makes a living being a surfer. Is
that right?
Famous surfer. He's was one of the best in the world. Yeah, he's definitely a well-known surfer. His son, absolutely. It doesn't help or it doesn't hurt, I'm sure, that his father is like the scariest guy on the island and you know involved in the surf scene. Sure, he got some good waves, probably.
And your dad encourages you to go do it. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people that live on the island that would love to make money at this, but they probably, their parents are like, you can go surfing another time. You have school to do.
You can go surfing on Saturday morning or whatever if you want. Whereas
for 3-4 hours, then you come back home.
Yeah, that's not how you become the best at it. Yeah, it's the skateboarders that become professional skateboarders are the ones that, dropped out of school in the ninth grade because they're skating too much. So that's 1984 that he has a son. 1986 here. Okay, now here's a guy named Fred Hemmings. He's a member of Hawaii's state legislature and a former world champion surfer as well. Oh. He, in a public hearing, calls the black shorts, quote, domestic terrorists.
Oh.
Yeah, that's strong words.
Sure is. Yeah.
Pretty strong words here. Hemmings is a guy who organizes surfing contests on the North Shore and claimed that the black shorts demanded that it be paid to provide security at the contest. They basically pulled some Altamont Hell's Angel shit.
Yeah, right.
You're going to, the mafia, protection. Hate to see that big, beautiful front window of yours get busted. People in this neighborhood do crazy shit. You never know.
Yeah.
He said lifeguards from other parts of the island ran competitions for much less money, but they refused to work at the North Shore because of the events that happened, because they were afraid that Rothman and them would, beat them up, basically. Right. Hemmings said, I don't want to hire a vigilante terrorist organization on the North Shore. I hired them because I had no choice. So he's saying I got blackmailed into hiring them, basically. Also, there's a mother who goes on the radio in Australia and talks about her son who's over in Hawaii and how her son has a terrible, terrible cocaine habit and all this shit. Now, the Honolulu Narcotics Vice Squad picks up on this radio interview from over there. Somebody gives them a heads up to it. And the woman's the mother of a highly rated Australian surfer. And she went to Hawaii and was interviewed by the police and said that for the past 3 years before that, her son and his friends there had frequently associated with Fast Eddie. And when he had left Hawaii earlier in the year, the Australian surfer, returned home with quite a few debts. He was in all sorts of coke debt. Needed money for coke. Also, this surfer had received a warning from his sponsors that said they were not prepared to watch their money go up his nose, basically. They said, if you're just going to be a cokehead, we're not going to pay you anymore.
Yeah.
So she said, quote, the mother, I was horrified when I found out he was using cocaine. At the same time, he said, I'm taking cocaine and I like it. Well, yeah, that's why people take cocaine.
Yeah.
I like it.
But you're indebted to past coke experiences right now. That's not good.
I do like when people say stuff that's so simple and just to the point like that. Don't go around all this stuff. I like it. I was watching whatever the fuck Live PD is now or whatever. And
On Patrol.
There you go. Yeah. Sarah calls it Paw Patrol because it's on Patrol. So then I always think of fucking Paw Patrol, and that's all I can think of. And I know that's not what it is. That's a cartoon. It's confusing. That exists already. So I'm watching Paw Patrol. Really, really intricate plot on this one.
There's this meth head.
Well, there's this guy on patrol that is their Ronnie Dobbs, basically. You know Ronnie Dobbs is, y'all are brutalizing me, that guy from Mr. Show and Run, Ronnie, Run, the movie. This guy, we watched it the week before, and this guy escaped on a U-Haul truck, a fucking box truck.
Escaped?
He took the police on like a 45-minute chase in a box truck.
Yeah.
And this guy was like whipping around traffic, didn't hit a fucking thing. No accidents. Really was avoiding hitting people with this thing. Like, I don't want to lose my deposit. He was driving like that, right? Yeah. So they finally found the truck abandoned because he got away from them in a U-Haul truck. He took off. They ended up arresting him like at his sister's house because he parked the U-Haul like 3 houses down from her or something. And in the back of the truck, they opened it up and it's spray painted on the side of the walls of the inside of the truck. And it's the guy's name is Raylan, and it says Raylan's Shaggin' Wagon 2 in there.
On the inside.
On the inside.
You imagine you pick up your U-Haul and it's...
So,
God damn it. What happened in here?
Well, he stole the U-Haul.
Yeah.
That was a stolen U-Haul. So then that was the week before last. So then Friday night, they cut to this chase in a pickup truck, and they're like, this is Raylan again. He fucking bonded himself out, got put on house arrest, cut his bracelet off, stole another truck, and is on the run again from the cops. And they're putting a good chase on, too. He's going on people's lawns. By the time they had him, he had no tires on one side of the truck. He was a fucking disaster, right?
Shaggin' Wagon 3.
The way he's doing it, they're just following him as he's driving on these lawns, and they're like, this guy really he's just the worst. He just won't stop. What a fucking asshole. They're doing all this shit. Again, didn't touch another car, though. Never hurt a person.
Right.
So they finally get him. They catch him. They put him in cuffs. He's sitting on the ground. And they're like, well, what the hell is wrong with you, man? Why you keep running like this? And he goes, I don't want to go back to jail. I don't like it. And I went,
I don't like it.
Well, I mean, yeah, there you go. You ask a stupid question. Like,
you get the dumbest, most obvious answer on earth.
That's it. And they go, well, what would have happened? That's 2 weeks in a row you're running around. What would have happened if you plowed into somebody and killed somebody driving crazy like that? And he goes, I guess I'd be the biggest piece of shit in the world and I'd feel terrible about it for the rest of my goddamn life. And he starts crying. Like, Raylan, Raylan needs a hug, man. Don't do it in the back of the shaggin' wagon because he'll get ideas, but he needs a hug. This guy's a fucking mess, man. But I want to start a collection, like a little GoFundMe, to bond him out whenever he gets arrested, because he'll be back on TV the next week. It's fucking amazing.
Raylan's Visa card.
Yeah.
Visa bail.
Our Ronnie Run. He's our Ronnie Dobbs. I want to see him get arrested every week. He's a safe driver. He doesn't hurt people when he runs. Fucking run, man. Let's go. Let's see what you got, homie.
Biggest piece of shit in the world.
Yeah. He doesn't go at a high speed chase. He's just like at 45 going through people's yards. It's hilarious. So anyway, that was just to say I like it. He said I don't want to go to jail. Why? I don't like it. He does like coke.
I like running.
I like running. So the mother said, I was really scared that he was killing himself and that he was going to end up in jail. So she ended up speaking to the cops in Hawaii, and then she said, I can tell you one thing: every kid is experimenting with drugs these days. I don't think that was quite true.
Ma, that's exaggeration. Calm
seems
down.
a bit much. Graham Cassidy, who is the executive director of the ASP, which is the Association for Professional Surfers, and they're the ASP rather than the APS. How the fuck does that work?
Surfing professionals, I guess.
But they're called the Association for Professional Surfers. But they go by ASP.
They go by ASP.
What do you want from us? How much do you expect people to pay attention, really, to get that? Like, come on, man. He said that the Oahu's North Shore has been just all for dropouts lately. Dropouts. He said it's a hangout, and I guess dropping out and drugs go hand in hand. Some surfers just say they should nuke that place and get rid of the lowlives.
Look, surfing is full of dudes that have no fucking direction. What are you talking about? Have you ever thought of surfers as like the most together dudes? They're all fuck ups.
You think they're like, hey, bro, like I'm good at this one thing. Otherwise, I'm like kind of a fucking disaster, man.
They're water skateboarders. That's just what it is.
Every skater I've ever known, you're just a disaster. It's a
burnout.
Yeah, I'm going out to hurt myself now. Bye. Right. I've done that so many times. Bye. I'm going to go destroy my legs and knees and fall on a bunch of shit on purpose.
Get the Band-Aids and fucking antiseptic ready. I'll be back in a little bit.
No shit, man. So this guy says their idea of a good night is to find a sucker, someone who likes to hang on to them and give him a rough time. There was one guy, they would take him out and load him up with coke and beat the living shit out of him. That was their idea of fun.
Okay, well.
It's kind of a 50-50 on that, right? I mean, you did get me good and high, and then you beat me up. So
did me a favor, gave me coke. That was
one
nice.
of these. Yeah, 6 of 1.
Yeah.
So he said the police used to stay away from the North Shore because the cops said, quote, it was just asking for trouble to go there.
Okay.
Just doing our jobs is a lot of trouble. So
we stay out of the bad neighborhoods because then there's a lot of paperwork down there.
Yeah. And it's a thing of they got to deal with these people every day. The tourists are gone in a week. Fuck them. Right. So in 1987 here, the cops go to raid their house. Okay, go to raid our guy Eddie's house. Okay?
The Black Trunk's house.
The Black Trunk's, mainly Eddie Rothman, because they think he is distributing cocaine on a massive scale. Okay. So this is from an article here. The Advertiser. What is this? Advertiser Courts? The fuck is that? I don't know. The guy's name is Ken Kobayashi that wrote it, though. Okay. And it's not an opinion piece, but it's a quote, about a dozen police officers turned left instead of right on an unexpected fork in a dirt road and ended up at the wrong house when they were trying to locate the North Shore residence of Edward Fast Eddie Rothman. Police detective testified, quote, unfortunately, when I came to the fork, I chose the wrong road, Detective Carl Godsey said. He then told the driver, he told the driver, go left. So apparently, the city they went to the wrong fucking house. They went to their Rothman's neighbors, Karen and Jay Brown, who then sue the law enforcement, saying that their civil rights were violated when their police burst into their home at July 2nd, 1987 here. The city isn't contesting that the police went to the wrong house, but they're trying to hash out the responsibility. Apparently, though, they got out of their unmarked vehicles. They got to the Brown residence. He asked Mrs. Brown where Eddie is, and she told him he doesn't live here. He said that he had the detective said he had no reason to doubt her, and when he saw a pickup truck that didn't belong to Rothman, he called the other officers back and he apologized. And said he told them out off and apologized. According to the police officer, Mrs. Brown said people often mistake the two homes and then pointed out Rothman's residence. The detective said he was impressed by the way the Browns acted toward the police. They were very cordial, as a matter of fact. I was somewhat embarrassed, to say the least, and we left. Yeah, they were fucking, raiding a house.
Yeah.
He said only one of the officers had his weapon unholstered. The other one carried a shotgun, so two had their weapons out. Mrs. Brown, though, said that she was scared and somewhat in shock as the police converged on her home. She feared her and her husband would be shot. She said everybody but one of them had a gun in their hand, and they all looked like they were ready to use it. She said, my husband and I just looked at each other, and we stepped aside. She said more than one officer went into the house, and she and her husband later discovered that the door to the hall closet and bathroom drawers had been opened. She said it was only when one of them asked with a walkie-talkie, where's Eddie, that she realized they were looking for her neighbor and not her. Yeah. As if you're this guy's neighbor, you know he's doing something, Yeah. So she said none of them apologized except for the last one. He sort of mumbled sorry. It's fucking hilarious. So either way, they do end up going to Eddie's house, and they raid his house, and they find quite a bit of shit here. So here's what Eddie is accused of. He gets arrested, and there's a bunch of different people involved, especially a couple of informers. One guy, Edward Earl Fernandez, who describes them as major cocaine distributors. Fernandez told authorities he received cocaine from people at the direction of Rothman. Said Rothman's the big leader of the whole thing. Fernandez said he feared Rothman's organization because he saw incidents in which Rothman had broken people's legs before.
Oh, Jesus.
So he didn't want that to happen. He said it was common for Rothman to front people shit. He'd front people coke, and then he would make demands of them that weren't just money. He'd have them do shit for him and all that because they owe him money. Fernandez emphasized the point that Rothman was known to use threats, force, and violence to enforce drug-related debts. And according to the memo, Rothman wanted another guy, Guy Stanley Coburn, to bring a state drug agent to a bar at the Turtle Bay Hilton. Rothman said he would have drugs placed in this woman's drink. She's a federal agent of this woman. Placed in her drink so she could be abducted, taken to Rothman's Sunset Beach home where she would be raped and photos would be taken of her.
Oh, my God.
That's his plan.
That's dangerous.
That's his plan, which is fucking sick. So He thought the cases against Coburn and Fernandez would be completely compromised and the pressure on his organization would be relieved if he showed proof that, this woman was whatever. Here she is asleep naked next to us. Look at that. See, look, she's fucking she's fucking the subjects of the investigation. That's what they were trying to get to. Mm-hmm. So, that's pretty fucking interesting. July 2nd, 1987, this all happens. He's charged with conspiracy to distribute cocaine and promoting a dangerous drug in the first and third degree. He said they are alleged to have operated a drug ring between December 1981 and May of 1987. Mm-hmm. That's a long fucking time. He's, charged with the trafficking and some other shit. Maximum prison term he faces is 35 years if convicted on everything here.
Shit.
One of his co-defendants has the bond reduced from $2 million to $20,000, which is way less. That seems way less. Rothman, though, Fast Eddie is held on $5 million bail.
Jesus.
And Squiddy is held on $2 million. Uh-huh. So Rothman tells a circuit court judge who, when he's trying to get bail reduced, he said, quote, "I don't mean no harm to nobody." That's nice. He said that he might be able to post bail as high as $300,000, but any amount that beyond that, he'd have to stay in jail. He said, "Add another $1 million and make the $6 million and make me the $6 million man." Once they said 5, He goes, "Fuck it, just add another one. Who cares? I can't make 5." So the judge refused to lower the bail. And they said that because the prosecutor said Rothman was in control of a cocaine ring that moved millions of dollars of cocaine over the last 5 or 6 years, brought up the plans to kidnap and harm drug agents, Rothman's predilection to embark on counter surveillance to learn things about the government agency, which mob guys have been doing since the 60s. So he's arrested. His partner's arrested, Tony Squiddy Sanchez Jr.
Yeah.
Papa Squiddy. There's a Squiddy Senior, is what I get out of that.
Yeah.
So they said that they operated a reign of terror and that Oahu's North Shore has been held in a state of near feudalism. So they've just taken it over. And there's been rumors about the group for a long time. They do say, the prosecutors makes great pains to say that not all members of the Black Shorts are linked to Rothman's cocaine enterprise, but many have been interchangeably used as strong-arm collectors and dealers. Mm-hmm. So that's how it works. They during this, they're mentioned collectively, and the judge and prosecutor are trying to sort out
who does what for
and not when you're allowed to use it as a collective thing, and when you can only you can't accuse everybody of doing something you're only accusing this guy of doing, and all that kind of shit. So much so that the next day the prosecutor has to walk some shit back, which is funny when a prosecutor's like, "I didn't mean to say this." He wanted to apologize if the prosecution sent a message that all members of the surfing group were bad people. He said not all of them are bad people. He said that some of them have just been used by Fast Eddie, and they're not all bad people engaged in criminal activities, and so there's that. Trial comes around, okay? It's a big deal, obviously. Now, Jacqueline Linden, who's a mortgage loan officer who handled Rothman's loans, this is the best, testified that Rothman established himself as, quote, "a character on the North Shore," and that his reputation has grown to mythical proportions. She said similar to, quote, Popeye, Superman, or the Devil, which is the name of this episode. Holy shit.
Those are all different guys that do vastly different things.
But they are all very well known. That's the one thing about them. They're all pretty
strong
infamous,
too.
if nothing else, and very strong. She said his name and reputation was being used to bully and terrorize. So they said that the prosecutor said that he's presented evidence to show that when Rothman was arrested, they found a shotgun under his bed and a buck knife near his headboard. Well, that's nothing compared to what Jimmy's got in his room. And a buck knife is nothing. I have the Jungle Master 3-foot machete within fucking arm's reach of my bed. So, yeah, it's
I have
nothing.
A couple of clubs. I got a couple of guns.
Yeah, got it all.
Several guns. Yeah.
Sarah's got her machete on her side. I keep mine over there.
Don't come in my bedroom unannounced. That is where I rest. And if there are noises, I will beat the noises unmercifully.
I'm looking to chop up whatever my dogs haven't fucking destroyed.
Mauled yet.
So he also reviewed the case and alleged that Rothman devised a plan to kidnap the drug agent, which we talked about. They also said that Rothman is on tape. They have audio recordings of him telling an undercover officer that was posing as a drug dealer in 1981, if you want to work on the North Shore, you pay us. Oh. So basically, we're the mafia of the North Shore. You want to work here, you give us a cut, just like you would do in a mob run place. Yeah, that's it. You got to get permission and send tribute. So the deputy prosecutor said that proves that Mr. Rothman did run the North Shore. Okay. It proves he's acting like he ran the North Shore, but it doesn't. It
proves he claims it.
Because if he just was there and somebody he considered a rube wants to sell coke, he could say, I'll shake this guy down. What the fuck does he know?
Right.
And that's how I would argue it if I was Rothman. I'd be like, I just said that. Doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah, this guy just looks like a dork. That's all.
I thought he was a dork. I was trying to scare him away. He could say anything. Yeah, he's a total dork. Look at him. Jesus.
He looks like a dork FBI agent, so I tried to shake him down, yes.
He looks like, what's that guy? He looks like Keanu Reeves. That's who he looks like, yeah. They sent Keanu Reeves in there.
Big nerd.
That's what I'm wondering, too. Is Point Break based on any of this? I feel like it is. I really feel like it is.
Possible,
the surf gang, this is the only real one that I really know of that's like a well-known surf gang.
I'd never heard of a surf gang before until that. Yeah.
And when you saw Point Break, you went, oh, Jesus, this is ridiculous. What are they, a surf gang? Yeah, right. They fucking exist.
He's in a wetsuit. Come on.
Who knew? I mean, honestly.
Seems very vulnerable. I can see everything. I know how big he is.
Did you? I know that water's cold. Did you, for a second, realize that 30 years later you'd find out that was true?
Not for a second. I've never looked at a mob figure and questioned, oh my God, I bet he has a tiny dick. Like, those guys just scare you. With a guy that's all wet, you could see that he's got a tiny dick.
Well, they also they wear a suit that's baggy enough to, keep a little mystery about them, whereas...
Can't see where his gun is. I can see you have no shirt on. I can see you don't have a gun.
See all your shit that you got here.
I see you don't have a gun and you have very little penis.
Very small amount of penis.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country, who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
So the trial is delayed.
Oh?
Based on they're trying to say the search is no good.
Oh.
His lawyer maintained that the police violated Rothman's constitutional rights by breaking down the door of his home instead of knocking and asking permission to enter. rather than now when they knock and yell police as they're not blowing the door in.
Blasting the door open.
But here they said, it's a decorum thing, really. It was just plain impolite. I would have offered them coffee if they were polite about it.
Yeah.
So they said during the raid they seized financial records, a rifle, and a small amount of cocaine. And they said that they indicted him on the firearms and cocaine charges, and then presented all the evidence that he was distributing cocaine as well. So they're going to they do postpone it though to figure out what to do with this evidence. They're very upset. Rothman says it was like a vacuum cleaner that they were in there. He said they were faced with boxes of material that they couldn't go through with a fine-tooth comb in the time allowed. That's what his lawyer said. He's like, it's ridiculous. How are they going to do this? They complained that basically they were too thorough in their searching.
Okay.
They're too thorough, which when they're looking for financial records, that's a piece of paper. So you can search anywhere a piece of paper may be.
You got to be mad thorough to find that. You're looking in the bill drawer. You're looking everywhere.
Yeah. Find if they're looking for drugs in America, they'll tear your fucking house to pieces. They'll rip it down. So
rip your ventilation apart.
Yeah, it's insane. That shit's expensive. You can't get HVAC guys out there quick to fix that. So Rothman's attorney contended that a search warrant authorizing the raid was regarded as a ticket of admission to the homes, whether authorities were, quote, on a free-for-all once they got in the door. They were saying that's the question here. So they said that there was a seizure, apparently in the seizure, a birthday card from Rothman's daughter and Rothman's will were taken with all the other shit because it was mixed in with some financial records. So his attorney says the search was like a vacuum cleaner. Okay. That's how searches are, though. Yeah. That's how they are.
They suck everything up.
That's what happens. Yeah. They take your car in and search it. That's how drug searches go, So I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's how they work.
It's thorough and intense.
If you're searching for drugs or documents, you can search pretty much anywhere. It's not like you're searching for a car. They're fucking small things that can be easily hidden places. So, that's how it works. So the Chief Justice appeared to agree with his lawyers that the authorities failed to specify particular items to be sought in the raid, which is something you have to do. The judge ended up saying you lacked probable cause. You didn't know exactly what was in the house, which means if you didn't know what you were looking for, it's not just a poke around. You have to think you know exactly what you're looking for. If you find other shit too, great. But you have to have evidence specifically that he might have a bunch of coke in his house, and you just kind of went in there and you got a warrant and used it as a poke around. So, they said that the warrant authorizing seizure of items in the two homes included such broad terms as articles of identification and currency in describing categories of items to be seized. The officers even seized such items as family photographs and a birthday card, and so that's what they're complaining about. The district court signed off on the warrant, and they said that it reads as this, okay? This is how the warrant reads. Books, papers, documents, records, receipts, billings, and statements, including but not limited to ledger books, diaries, journals, and other writings, all of which relate to promoting a dangerous drug in the first degree or criminal conspiracy. Also, such articles of personal identification, including driver's licenses, utility bills, rent receipts, keys, and other articles, which tend to show ownership or possession of the above described articles, and such currency as may constitute proceeds of drug transactions. That's what they're saying. That's pretty thorough. I think that's pretty
a lot. Yeah, it's pretty much
specific.
Everything you got.
But they had 11 police officers in describing it. They showed up at 7 a.m. With 11 police officers. Upon arrival, the members of the team took up security positions around the perimeter. This is from the report of his home, and several officers approached the front door of the home. To the left of the front door was a picture window, which was somewhat larger than the front door. The house was a 3-story structure. At that time, the officer in charge of the security team was aware that the master bedroom was on the 3rd level. However, he had no knowledge of where defendant was in the house or whether defendant or anyone else was in the house. There was no lights or activity in the house. Surfers don't wake up at 7 unless they're surfing.
Right.
If a surfer's up at 7, he's not in his house. He's out surfing.
Or he's coming home from finger banging somebody all night.
After he surfed or before he surfed, yeah.
After the luau.
Dipped his hand in the salt water and then went home. There you go. So The officer had heard that defendant had strong-armed individuals who dealt in drugs and was aware generally of the risk of danger in the execution of the search warrant. He was also made aware by the Office of Narcotics Enforcement, an agent there, that a defendant had told a confidential informant who had an ONE agent who told an ONE agent that more than a year prior to the search, defendant had pointed a rifle at the informant without the informant's knowledge, and that the rifle was kept under a bed in the master bedroom. That's what they were looking for, and that's where they found it. However, no attempt was made by the security team, which initially entered the house to look for the rifle under the bed, or to check for the presence of persons in the house other than the defendant, his wife, or child. Moreover, no attempt was made by the searching party to locate the rifle in the area which was apparently known to them. Rather, an ONE agent testified that she happened to see a rifle case under the bed as she was climbing the stairs to the master bedroom. The photograph of the view from the stairs indicates that the agent could not have seen the rifle under the bed from there. Okay. So that's why they're saying this. They're saying there's falsified shit in the reports. The officer in charge of the security team knocked twice on the front door and announced his presence and the possession of a warrant. His demonstration of the knock and announcement indicates it took approximately 10 seconds. Without looking into the window next to the front door, which would have given him a view of the interior of the house and the part of the stairs leading up to the master bedroom, he ordered, to see if anyone was coming. Right. He ordered another officer to break down the front door. This was done almost immediately. The approximately 15 but no more than 20 seconds lapsed from the first knock on the door to the entry of the officers into the house. His reason for the immediate entry of the house was to prevent anyone from gaining a position of advantage. They do that all the time. Yeah. Prior to the breaking of the front door, there was no indication of any activity within the house, no lights being turned on, no furtive or threatening gestures by anyone, and no apparent refusal to open the door. The searching party at the defendant's house searched for and seized virtually any writing, document, etc., which related to defendant's finances and or which tended to identify the defendant. The searching party looked for and recovered any item which might have, as opposed to did have, evidentiary value. So they just took everything, not saying we know exactly what we want. Mm-hmm. So they said that family pictures were taken because they appeared to show in the background a geographical location similar to South America. Saying, here's a family photo. Were they in South America buying cocaine?
South America and Hawaii in photos look very similar.
Palm trees. Okay, water.
Look at those fat blade palm trees.
Look at that.
Mad tropical.
Those look pretty good there.
What is that, a banana tree? Probably. What is that, a fucking coconut? I bet it is.
Pineapples. Yep. All right. There we go. So, fuck, man.
Good God.
They also searched his accountant's place.
Mm-hmm.
What is her name here? Valentine is her name. Mm-hmm. The search party searched here, recovered virtually every item which could be identified with Eddie, regardless of its evidentiary value. Basically the same shit.
Okay.
So the Hawaii Supreme Court issues a ruling that leads to, they say you can't have any of the shit you found in the search.
Oh my God, he's the luckiest man on earth.
Luckiest guy completely. So this causes the dismissal of part of the cocaine case against him because they can't do the trafficking because they don't have certain things. So they're pissed off. All they had in his house was about 0.5 gram of coke. That's all they could find in there.
Uh-oh.
Because if he's selling it, he's not going to have it in his house, obviously.
And
probably.
Who's selling 0.5 gram of coke?
No, that's personal use. Yeah, if he's selling it, he's in charge of it. He's not fucking doing it, is what they're saying anyway. But either way, they say that they can't have that here. They said that his bail was reduced then from $5 million to $140,000, which allowed him to get out. And they dropped the firearms charges and the cocaine charges, and it's been quite a problem here at this point. While he's out on bail here, they tried to get his bail revoked, and a judge denied it, though. He's accused by prosecutors of obviously being a huge coke dealer, and they said that he was arrested again on August 20th on charges that police said stemmed from their search of his home, and he was released because they arrested him again in August and released him on $65,000 bail. So, because they needed to get him on the shit they didn't get him on the first time. Right. So while he's out on bail, city deputy prosecutors said that Rothman broke his 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew that was set at the bail hearings. They present testimony from a Honolulu police narcotics officer who testified he saw Rothman driving away from his home at 7:50 p.m. on August 19th and said he later went to Rothman's home and was told Rothman was spending the night at the home of David Stant, a friend who lives somewhere else here. Mm-hmm. They said that also Rothman stayed the night at a North Shore party 2 weeks before that.
Oh.
Now, he said he interpreted the conditions of curfew to mean that Rothman must stay at his home during 8 to 6, those hours, because it was important that the police be able to maintain a watch. However, Rothman's attorney said that the bail order only required him to be off public streets and out of public buildings during that hour. So he could be at anybody's house he wants to be at as long as he's out of the streets by 8 o'clock.
Right.
As long as he's home before the streetlights come on, he's gold, baby. So
amazing.
The judge sides with Fast Eddie, saying the order never stipulated that he be confined to his own home during these hours. And they said, as for attending a party and staying the night, he said, quote, even a person accused of crimes requires some semblance of a social life. What the fuck?
Look into the background of this judge. That man wants leniency whenever he fucks up.
Wow. He loves surfing. I don't know what the hell's going on. He's a big surfer. So Ian Cairns again. Back to that guy. Mm-hmm. Cairns. What a weird name. So
could be Carnes, right?
Carnes. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah. He's the winner, by the way. He's done a lot of surfing shit. Winner of several North Shore surf contests. He says that he endured years of intimidation to come to Hawaii for to do all this. Yeah, he said, but he said he was terrified, and other surfers he knows are terrified because of the intimidation, and he stayed away from Hawaii. He said surfers are, scared to come here. He said, I always felt personally threatened when I went surfing. So this is on. They're trying to say that he headed this badass group, so he's going to testify in the trial. He helped form the Association of Surfing Professionals in 1983, and he was the executive director for a long time. Okay. And, he talks about how, lawyer for Eddie says that the association treated Hawaiian surfers unfairly, so anything that was done to Carnes is probably warranted, basically. Carnes acknowledged he made public statements about the need for improving the way surf meets are run, but denied suggestions that he or his association discriminated against Hawaiian surfing.
Right.
He said this guy, he's the winner of the 1973 Smirnoff tournament, the 1976 Duke Kahanamoku tournament, and the 1980 World Cup surfing contests, all on the North Shore. He won all these, this guy. And he said the aggression toward him escalated after he started winning. Yeah. He said in 1975, he was told people were coming after him with guns and knives. And he said the late, what is he, Eddie, how do you say his name? Akau? He's like the surfing legend down there.
Okay.
They said that he intervened and set up a meeting to diffuse he's the only guy who had the most respect that even the gangs would not fucking fuck with him, basically. So at that meeting, he said that Carnes said that Rothman told him that basically you're not a local surfer and that's why you're being victimized. In 1980, Carnes said he was at a party at Sunset Beach when a woman told him, Squiddy's outside with a gun and he's going to shoot you. So he said he was frightened and left the party.
Yeah.
Okay. In December 1984, after a dispute between his association and Hawaiian surfing promoters, Carnes said Rothman made an implied threat. He said that Rothman told him, you're very courageous to come to Hawaii. I hope you enjoy yourself. And then later that month, Carnes was paddling ashore, and he noticed something a little off. He said, you become more tuned to the jungle. He said he saw people on the beach who appeared to be lookouts. He said when he went to shower and got done, a large Hawaiian guy came out of the blue and started swinging at him.
Oh.
Yeah, he said that he quotes the guy as saying, quote, I've been trained to kill fuckers like you. Well, he beat him up. He said he was a big man, huge guy, and he said most of the punches hit him in the head. He said the assault lasted over 15 minutes.
Oh, my God, that's so long.
He was like dragged to another fence and beat up, but he said he wasn't badly injured somehow out of this. He said if it wasn't for the face of Fast Eddie off to the side, he said it would have been an easy thing to forget because you get beat up on the beach all the time. Right. But he said that Eddie was there laughing and watching and laughing and laughing, which is fucking funny. And the guy, as he was beating Karn, said, I'm doing this for what you're doing to the Hawaii people. And he said Rothman was laughing all through that. And Jesus Christ. So eventually they moved from the shower across the park into the highway into a nearby school fence. This beating went. Just beat him all the way across the street. And then eventually Rothman said, Calvin, he's had enough. And then Rothman and the assailant walked away together.
Wow.
So that was that. Karn said he never reported it to the police because the assailant told him not to. Fair.
And you listen. They were just beating me.
They were beating me. How much worse would it be if I told on them? He said everyone fears the repercussions would be far worse than what's happening at that point in time. So it's not fucking worth it. Karn said that an officer told him there's nothing you can do, but if you were to get a group of his friends, and visit him one night, he wouldn't call us. Mm-hmm. So he said he talked to a cop friend that he knew, and the cop said, look, we're not going to arrest him, but if you want to take vigilante action, just go over there with a bunch of people and kick the shit out of him. He won't call us, so that'll go under the radar.
You could do it if you want.
But he's not going to do it at all here. So, yeah, he just talks about being beaten. He said he would carry a baseball bat and a surfing bag. He said at that point, no one was going to touch me again or I was going to spill blood. That's what Karn said. He said, I was changed as a person because of this whole situation. Very fucking interesting here. Also, the undercover officer here who tried to infiltrate the alleged drug ring here is Carl Godsey. And he said that he posed as a messenger boy for a West Coast drug dealer in an effort to infiltrate the Black Shorts. Mm-hmm. So he said that a Brazilian arrested for cocaine trafficking told him last month that Squiddy Sanchez had beaten up several of his fellow Brazilians to get his phone number to try to get this cocaine connection through him. So that's how this guy knew to do this, because the detective, because he threw an informant who was actually a Brazilian who was arrested for cocaine trafficking. So they said that his business wasn't so much cocaine as it was extortion. That's what Squiddy Sanchez had told this undercover agent. 67 friends of Sanchez, by the way, wrote to the judge urging him to lower his bail to let him out during all this.
Really?
Yeah. During the trial, they also bring up that an officer named Reginald Manoa said that he responded to a domestic complaint from Rothman's wife in September 1986. He said that Rothman's wife told him that Rothman had been using threats against her, saying he was going to use his connections to have her taken care of.
Oh boy, that's a
but when by the time he's arrested and on trial, they're still together. So
okay, so he wasn't serious.
Apparently, he didn't do that. Also, a television producer named James L. Hayes said that in 1984, Rothman told him, "Hey, brah, where's my money?" and made a threatening noise on the phone after this guy was slow in paying half of a $4,000 fee for production rights to a surfing event there. So if you wanted to film something, you had to shake them down. They shook you down for money to make sure nobody damaged your cameras and all that kind of shit. So anybody that did anything there. So more threats. Federal agents say that threats were made. There's a guy named Pepe Bastarde, which is a great name. Pepe Bastarde.
Bastard Peepee?
Bastard Peepee. The Bastard Peepee. That's guys with a limp dick say that. Pepe Bastarde!
That is whiskey dick in Spanish.
Pepe Bastarde! Sí, Pepe Bastarde. No.
This never happens. I'm sorry.
That's his middle name. Pepe, this never happens, Bastarde. He said he provided cocaine to people who then passed it along to this one, to that one. One guy testified that, what is this? Oh, Bastarde said that $7,200 was not paid for 3 ounces of cocaine. He owed some, and that Squiddy Sanchez would beat the informant and publicly shoot him in the mouth.
Publicly?
publicly, just to make sure. Federal agents arrested old Pipi Bastarde, according to this guy, and he was convicted on cocaine charges in federal court. Also testifying is a state narcotics agent named Patricia Bourne, who said she recovered this is the one that talks about the rifle that she found. Okay, so the rights fees. Okay, more witnesses here. Just lots of witnesses of intimidation. One guy here, circuit court. A guy named Nathan Ortiz here. He was accused of threatening to. This is a relative of Fast Eddie. He's accused of threatening a potential witness against Fast Eddie. Threatening to whack Robert G. Costa or his son if Costa were to appear as a witness against Rothman. So this Ortiz guy gets convicted of this. So they were still threatening witnesses during this whole trial. Like literally, he got convicted of this and faces a 5 to 5 year sentence for this whole shit here. So he denied threatening Costa, saying he visited his home just to make peace. Before he testified, just wanted to make peace with him.
To make peace? He's about to make peace in court.
No shit.
Oh, he's just going over there saying no hard feelings, tell the truth?
No hard
Is that
feelings.
what he's saying?
Yeah, you just go over, I want you to go into court and you just say whatever makes your conscience feel clean.
No
That's
matter
all.
how it affects me or my family or friends. Just do your thing.
You do the right thing rather
Absolve
than
yourself.
Yeah, don't do the easy thing. Do the right thing. That's what he told him. Oh, okay. So Edward Fernandez, he was that informant from earlier we told you about here. He made an accusation on the stand here accusing all of them of everything. He's an auto mechanic that we talked about. He says that he sold cocaine in the late 70s, and Rothman first told him he could obtain higher quality cocaine for him in 1979. He said Rothman arranged in April 83 for Fernandez to buy his cocaine, with another guy who's on trial here delivering the coke and picking up the payments. Fernandez said he made 15 purchases of 8 ounces of coke in 1 year.
Wow.
It's not bad. He fucking not a bad deal there. At $1,700 to $1,800 an ounce, and asked for a lower price in 1984 because of the quantity of his business. He's like, I'm buying fucking 8 pounds a year off you. What are we talking about here? So he said, I suggested we leave Rothman out as the middleman. But then the guy who he was doing business with rejected the idea because of his close ties to Rothman.
Sure. Yeah.
So obviously. Now, another witness here comes forward. Oh, wow, this is interesting. Well, another witness doesn't come forward because he's missing. There's a guy, he told police before his February 14th disappearance that he felt his life was in danger and that a hit or a murder contract may have been put out on him.
Okay.
His name is Frank Thomas Ramos. Almost Frank Thomas. He was last seen riding a green 15-speed bicycle at about 7 p.m. on Valentine's Day near Sunset Beach. He was reported missing. Police homicide detectives say that they suspected foul play in his disappearance. And, they're basically saying that he was involved in this whole thing. He was going to testify later on, and that's how that works. So maybe that's the possibility. They said Ramos was identified in a July 1987 memo as a doorman at the Steamers nightclub. That doesn't sound good. Yeah. The memo alleged that Ramos learned of a meeting between state narcotics agents and a drug informant at the beach park around there, and then rushed to tell Rothman and Sanchez about the meeting. Rothman, Sanchez, and Ramos brazenly pulled up to the meeting site in Rothman's yellow Mercedes. Ramos got out and walked over to the drug informant and stuffed money in his pocket while stating that the informant should take his friends out to dinner.
Yeah.
There you go. Why don't you buy yourself something nice?
On me.
Yeah. So then Ramos, Sanchez, and Rothman drove away laughing, according to the memo.
Yeah.
So the prosecutor said that, Ramos was not scheduled to testify as a witness in the case. So he said, he declined to speculate on possible reasons for his disappearance. He might have been disappearing himself, on purpose. He's described as 6'2", short graying brown hair, thick dark mustache, and a dark tan complexion. Guy at the beach.
Yep.
Beach guy. 1989. This goes on for almost 2 years, this trial.
God.
Okay. 1989, the verdict comes in here. He is found not guilty of conspiring to distribute cocaine. Also acquitted of first-degree promotion of cocaine.
He's the worst, and he's getting away scot-free.
The luckiest fucking guy. Is everyone just afraid of him? What's going on? Yes, that might be what it is. It was a day of deliberation. They said, that done. Rothman said, I'm very happy. I thank God and my friends. And he said he wasn't surprised, though, by this. He's like, of course not. He said, I'm relieved, but, I'm not fucking surprised. This is crazy. He said, because the government didn't have any evidence. What evidence did they have was not allowed because it wasn't obtained in a proper way. That's what his lawyer said. Mm-hmm. So there you go. He's fucking thrilled. Everybody's thrilled. There's a plea bargaining agreement for his two partners here, in which they're allowed to plead guilty to 2 cocaine charges that carry the possibility of probation. And so there you go. This is fucking crazy.
He keeps himself insulated from all of the bad shit.
He sets himself up like a mob boss. Mm-hmm. And I'm not allegedly an alleged mob boss. That's how he sets himself up. So it's pretty fucking interesting here. Rothman says, told you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Told you so. He says, obviously, it's fucking hilarious. He said, quote, I'm happy and I'm glad that the jury was fair. He said, I think certain people in the prosecutor's office might have been looking out for their own interests, trying to fabricate a case so they could move on to bigger and better things for themselves. He said the black shorts that they accused of all this and that they know was just a surf and lifeguard club put together by good people. He said, I think the whole thing backfired in their face.
Yeah.
And who knows what's going to happen now? Maybe people in the new administration in Hawaii that have administration have people they go after for personal reasons, like a little vendetta, or maybe they'll do regular prosecutions instead of selective prosecutions. He said, So at this point, he's walking free, surfing free, doing whatever he wants. Everything is great.
Loving life.
He's loving life, and one day he's sitting outside, and he's on the beach. It's a morning. He's out surfing. It must be one of these glorious mornings. You know what I mean? It's
a very beautiful Hawaiian morning.
And there's nobody around, which is weird, too. He's just by himself, and he's sitting there, and he's on his board, and out of nowhere, he hears just harps and the sky. Clouds come and then open up, and who is there? It's God up there in the clouds. And he says... How is it you've come to arrive here? What is... Honestly, man, like, dude.
Yeah.
Dude. You've seen what I can do, right? Look at this. It's beautiful, isn't it? That's why you're here right now. People come here for a reason. I made this so people would come here, and then you're telling them, don't enjoy it, don't enjoy it. Who do you think you are? God? You're not. You know why I know that? Because I'm God.
I'm He.
I am He. I did not make waves and... rocks and shit like that so you could sit on your goddamn lazy ass and tell people what to do. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm tired, goddammit. I'm sick and tired of it. Really, seriously, man. Like, for Christ's sake, bro. You know what I mean? Brah, sorry. Sorry, brah. That's what I mean. This is I'm about sick of this. Seriously. I'm going to there's going to be remember, there's volcanoes here. This is just in case. It's my safety
I'll flood
valve.
this place with molten fucking rock.
It would look like Pompeii in this motherfucker, I tell you what. That's what I can do.
Noah's boat doesn't stand a chance.
Poof. And then the clouds part again. And Eddie is very confused and scared and hoping there's no waves around the corner.
Needs weed.
Needs weed now. 1995, he's in another dispute here. Mm-hmm. He's fighting with a councilwoman named Renee Mancho.
What did she do?
They are in a big fight here. Rothman says that Mancho implied that he and others belonged to the Black Short Surf Group, made threatening calls to her and her family. Apparently her district includes the North Shore. And she voted for the Lehigh Lani project, and Rothman said he doesn't want it. So there's a hearing. Mancho noted at one point that she and her family were getting threatening calls because of her committee vote in favor of this project. She did not say from whom the calls came. Several minutes later, she stated, quote, "I'm afraid of Eddie Rothman and others in the black shorts." So there's a deal there. Top of the release listed, basically, she said her comments were related to testimony given by Rothman the day before. In his testimony, he called on people to join his group in avoiding Oahu with its already polluted places and go enjoy the other islands or places in the world where there's more respect for its lands, oceans, and people. The top of the release listed the names of 4 members who voted in favor of this project, and among them were her. Above the names, Rothman explained that the group would be putting the pictures of these council members out. And it said in the release, Hawaii council members greet foreign, dishonest, big money corporations with open arms. It's like a political thing here. So 1997, I found in the paper surfing results. So here's some
fun.
sports.
Yeah.
He is in the Grand Masters category at the Hawaii Amateur Surfing Association here.
That's it? It's not sponsored by anybody? We're supposed to know what that is?
Hawaii Amateur Surfing Association. Yeah. There's a state championship. It's a state championship here. So there's seniors, there's this, there's that, and there's Grand Masters. And I guess he is in second place in the Grand Masters. He comes in. Okay. Fast Eddie does. David Shibata won it. Won it all. Took it home. So November 26th, 1999, Fast Eddie is charged with first-degree burglary, kidnapping, and extortion.
Oh, those are very heavy charges.
He's had a lot of crazy charges against him. The accusation is that he and his 2 friends barged into a Sunset Beach home Tuesday night and allegedly threatened the resident and his family with death if they didn't turn over their truck to them.
Oh.
Yes, the three of the residents that lived there, besides the person they were after, were led outside and told not to interfere with the beating.
Oh, boy.
In an affidavit, Honolulu police officer Keen Kaneda said he responded to the report of an assault at this home to find a visibly shaken man whose right eye was swollen and bruised. The man said Rothman walked into the house and demanded the title for a truck belonging to the man's friend, I guess, apparently. Mm-hmm. When the man said he didn't have the slip, Rothman invited 2 other men into the house, and all 3 grabbed the man and tried to pull him outside. He struggled free, but they caught him and beat him again.
Oh, my God.
Rothman threatened, quote, "I'm going to kill your sister, your girlfriend, and your cousin." Those are the people outside.
Okay.
If sister and girlfriend, that's a lot. If he didn't go get the pink slip, which is fucking crazy. That's wild. Unbelievable. So Rothman denies it. He says, "No, I didn't do any of that stuff. That's crazy. It's just nuts, man. I don't know what these stories about me always. Good Lord." Rothman said, quote, "When the story comes out, it should be a doozy." That's what he said. He said, "I'm not new to this," is also what he said. And then he said, "Why is my bail so high?" He had to post a $300,000 bond for this.
Well, it's usually because extortion, kidnapping, those are heavy fucking, that's why.
In your history here, they didn't give him no bail because he shows up at court. I mean, as long as you show up at court, they'll keep giving you bail. They said, "A detective explained to me that I'm a high-profile person and this is a high-profile case."
Right.
March 2000, these charges are dropped.
What?
The charges are dropped. They said Jim Fulton, city prosecutor's office, said the reason was insufficient evidence to convict him.
Wow.
Because all they had was they took the other 3 people outside, so nobody saw the beating.
Yeah.
Only this guy who's claiming, and they said, just you saying they beat you isn't enough, even though other 3 people saw them run into your house and then you were bruised up. It seems like pretty...
He ran in there, and then I kicked my own ass.
Fucking ridiculous.
Why don't they have enough? Whatever.
Rothman said he went to the home to talk to the man who let him into the house. He said he went to talk about business matters and what had happened in the past. So, yeah, he said
like he kicked the guy's ass.
That's what it sounds like to me. Yeah, I went to go talk about some shit and fix it up. Rothman then said through his lawyer that he was concerned his reputation might be the cause of the fact that he was charged as opposed to a thorough investigation there. So he said he's happy the truth is coming out, though.
Yeah.
It's not really the truth. It's just insufficient evidence. That's not really the truth, but it's something. So he says at this point a Hollywood producer proposed a movie of his life, which seems like a no-brainer, honestly.
Right.
He said, I said forget about it. I don't need anybody making a movie about me. I've been on television enough.
What does that mean?
I don't know. He doesn't want any more attention, I guess.
I've been on the screen enough?
He's going to get arrested the more attention he gets. I mean, it seems like that's the way it works. He does an interview here, and just to give you an idea, a sense of who he is here, give you this interview. He is asked, what's your favorite pickup line? He said, that would be, do you want to take advantage of my easy nature? It's not a very good pickup line.
Not good at all.
They said, what if they shut you down? He said, I'm used to it. I don't cry anymore. All right.
What?
He said,
Why is that the question?
I don't know. Why is that your opener? What's your favorite pickup line? Maybe this idiot asks everybody that as their opener, maybe? I don't fucking know. That's a terrible opener.
It's got to be his thing.
His standard, first question that he has here. He said, is the ultimate surfing for all the young surfers on the North Shore for the winter? And he said, yeah, the ultimate for anyone is surfing the North Shore in the winter and catching waves and having a good time. He said, is it harder nowadays to do? And Eddie said, yeah, just crossing the street has become a trip. Am I allowed to use the word fuck in this interview? And the guy says, yeah, sure. And so he says, fuck them all. It's hard to cross the fucking street. That's what he
What
comes
does that mean?
I don't know. It's hard to paddle out with some fucking kook running you over or getting in the way. Local people come home from work and just want to paddle out and catch some waves, but some fucking kook from who knows where will be trying to yell him off the wave. Now we have coaches for rich kids whose parents want them out at pipe and surfing dangerous breaks before they're fucking ready. We have idiot little league surf parents that don't even fucking surf. He just moved there.
He is so mad.
Jesus. They ask him, do any other sports compare to surfing? He says, well, it's whatever you're into. If you're into snowboarding, skateboarding, or playing football, whatever you're doing is the most important sport for you. As far as comparing them, surfing's a little more difficult to learn at a later age. If you don't grow up learning how to surf, then nobody can really tell you how to do it technically like you can with a snowboard. That makes sense. You kind of need to be on the water from a young age. He said you have to feel it. Any sport you can learn at a young age is a lot easier. Surfing seems to be a little bit harder because you're not attached to the board unless you tow a board, and that's different kind of sport altogether. With surfing, you're not attached to your board. The wave is moving and everything's in motion. You've got a lot to put together.
Yeah.
And he says, what about surfing pipe? And he says, which sounds like, what about your big cock surf?
Yeah, that sounds like calling a girl a whore.
What about surfing pipe? Well, that's my favorite thing. He says the pipe is probably the most dangerous surf spot in the world where somebody dies every year. There are too many kooks out there nowadays that don't even catch any waves and just get in the way. This includes some of the girls who've watched Blue Crush and think the girl is really surfing there.
All these girls seeing these Paul Walker movies.
Seeing fucking Paul Walker thinking he's out on the beach. Paul Walker's dead, sweetheart. What do you think of that? 'Cause that's the truth, honey. Paul Walker's dead and you can't fucking surf. Those are two truths I know, okay? So,
he calls a Paul Walker movie. That's hilarious.
He really calls it right out. He said they are clueless bodyboarders from all over the world that will drop in on people in the barrel, which is life-threatening. Other than that, the way to surf pipe is not to surf pipe if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Pipe definitely has a pecking order, so that must be a real hard one. I would say pipe has a pecker order. Yeah, that's true.
I think that's pipeline, right? That's the hard one. Yeah,
that's the hard one. Yeah, they have all the competitions there,
and those waves it's a barrel, man. You get in the
middle.
Those
50-foot waves.
Yeah, that you get in the middle of it as it's crashing, and you're trying to outrun.
It's fucking insane.
That's life threatening as fuck, man.
It's insane. If someone gets in your way,
oh god, or the board comes up as you wipe out and whacks you in the fucking face.
You're gonna drown.
Yeah.
So there's also a thing here where he's mad with the city again here. He's pissed off here because apparently there's contest. Probably he's trying to promote a contest, I guess.
Yeah.
So he threatens to sue the city because they said that Rothman had video cameras and was upset that the city councilor had not responded properly to his request for information about a grant the city had given a woman's bodyboarding organization.
Okay.
So they're having a public battle about this in the newspapers, which is fucking ridiculous. So, I mean, Jesus Christ, this guy's name carries weight. Like,
it sounds like it, yeah.
It carries weight, and it also carries fear, and it carries a lot of different things. Right. And it's one of those things where, you know, I mean, it's good if you're looking to be kind of feared, but if you just want to lay low, it doesn't work out very well. Yeah. You got to feel bad for the person at that point, but not nearly as bad as you might feel for Eddie Rothman, professor emeritus at the University of Michigan. Eddie Rothman, petroleum geologist consultant in South Charleston, West Virginia.
Yeah.
Ed Rothman, founder of Seed of Abraham Messianic Congregation in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There you go. Eddie Rothman, chief executive at Connie Rothman Learning Trust. And what do we got? Oh, Eddie Rothman, independent accounting professional in Hampton, Virginia. None of them surfers. I couldn't find another Eddie Rothman who surfed, unfortunately. Just
was that Ace's name in Casino also? Was he Rothman?
He was Rothman. Yeah, Ace Rothman.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. 2008. By this time, DeHuey here, the black shorts, they're a business now.
Oh.
Now they're a business. They sell shirts. They have sponsors. They have
LLC.
Yeah, by 2008, they're making about $2 million in shirt sales a year.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. They, it's just not a lot. I mean, they're not fucking one of the major surf brands, but they have their shit was sold in 2008 at 19 states and 12 different countries.
Wow.
Their shit was sold in. That is black board shorts, no frills logos, which is normally all the floral shit for the surfing, and their shit's all black and, things like that. They said they started this company because local people were getting disrespected. Outsiders were coming here looking at Hawaiians as aborigines. So now we got board shorts and we're not fucking around. That's not a marketing ploy for this. They said that these days they once signaled territorial assertion, but now they're sold at Costco. So a little bit different. Yeah, it's like if the Crips had a fucking do-rag, a blue do-rag they sold at Costco.
It's And One shorts being sold at Walmart now.
That's what it is. It's exactly what it is.
That's
but worse, And One was at least started as a company. It wasn't started as a fucking street gang, basically.
At Costco.
At Costco. That's the ultimate full circle. When you hit, not even full circle, the ultimate 180, honestly. So that's wild. They said that the gang or the group was used to have to make outsiders aware they were pushing aside the wrong people. And he said, when people see the black shorts now, they know. Yeah. But now they know it could just be some guy from Costco who bought these and then came over from Michigan.
Now they know it's a guy that also buys both fucking pretzels.
It was peanut butter filled. And
he buys about 30 pounds.
This could be Eddie Rothman, professor from Michigan University, just went to Costco, and he got that. He got a giant Caesar salad that's more than anybody could ever eat, and that.
And a pair of shorts.
Oh, my God. So they say that, they're still doing their thing. One guy said, quote, "We don't just go out in the water and kick people out. That's not what it is." No. This is a guy, Alexander is his name, his last name. He was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Blue Crush as well.
He was in Blue Crush, too.
He was in Blue Crush, too. He also did a lavish pictorial for Italian Vogue.
Oh.
And he's also in a bunch of YouTube videos where he and buddies are seen beating the shit out of surfers on the beach. One in particular where he and a buddy are seen beating a blonde surfer to a bloody pulp, it says.
Wow.
He says, "We're just sticking up for our beliefs and our neighborhood and our families." He said, people ask, "What's your aloha?" And he explained the aloha spirit was burned right out of the Hawaiian people.
So we don't have it anymore.
Burned it out. It's gone. Gone. So his son, by the way, what do we say he was? The god of the sea or some shit. I don't remember.
Father of the sea. Rothman.
Father of the sea. There you go. I don't remember. His son, though, was a constant feature on North Shore. He grew up there. He's always there. He says that his mother's home and her family's home stretch back forever. He said, my family has been here forever. I'm 10th or 11th generation from here.
Oh, Father
so
of
that's
the sea.
his mother. Rothman, yeah. His mother is very much there.
Chicken of the Sea Rothman is Hawaiian fucking through and through.
Through and through, Mr. Rothman. So he's like, pass the matzah soup. Let's go.
Is there pineapple on this one?
Is this pineapple? One of his first memories is riding a boogie board with his father. He says, yeah, my dad would explain it all. He would do a turn and tell me we're doing a turn now, or he'd do a cutback and say this is a cutback. But most importantly, he would explain the barrel. He'd get in the tube at V-Land or wherever and say, look around. We're in the tube now. We're getting barreled. He said this was when he was 4 years old.
Sick.
He said he started surfing by himself at 5. So he would just take him on the board and do that.
He would put that kid on the front of the boogie board and go into a barrel of a wave at 4.
Yeah, at 4. He'd take him in and be like, I got this.
Christ.
So he said at 5, he said Eddie had just gotten out of jail after fighting the drug distribution charge there. And he says, it all happened so quick when my dad got out of jail. He got me straight in the water, and I think my first surf contest was when I was 5. He said, so he's been doing that forever. And they said, he eventually conquered Pipeline. And he said, Pipeline, though, is never really conquered. He said, Pipeline, I didn't really get comfortable at Pipeline until about 4 years ago. Backdoor was easier. Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, if it's slick enough, sure. But otherwise, I think Pipeline's going to be an easier fit.
Wet enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, backdoor's never wet. That's the problem. It's always dry. So, oh man,
who do they think they are? Professional football with all this sexual innuendo?
Oh my God, there's so much. So he's also got a son named Lono, who is 15. Yeah. Lono is a Hawaiian thing that I haven't read it in like 15 years, but I have the book The Curse of Lono by Hunter Thompson, and it takes place in Hawaii, and I remember what Lono is. It's a specific thing, and I can't fucking remember it now because I read it so long ago. Anyway, 2015, Eddie's pissed.
Oh?
Eddie's really pissed. He does an interview. He's pissed off. You know who he's pissed off at, Jimmy?
The tourists?
No. Who else do you think he could be mad at?
A congressman?
No.
What about a senator?
No.
Who's he mad at, James?
Monsanto.
What?
He's mad.
The chemical company is poisoning Hawaii?
Super pissed off at Monsanto.
Yeah.
He says to a guy trying to interview him about surfing, he says, if you want to tell a fucking important story, then tell this one. Monsanto. Those fuckers are here. They have all these experimental farms right over the hill and are poisoning the land and poisoning the people. Write that shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he told the guy to...
Pineapple has DDT in it.
That's it. He said, these are greedy fucks. They don't care about anything but making money, and they're doing it all right here on Oahu and all over the islands, threatening farmers, closing the local people down, closing farmers markets. You know, if some of their GMO seed blows on someone's land, then they own it. They are controlling our politicians, too. Laws to label food as GMO have come into our Congress, but they get shut down. They're taking over the land just like in the past. Yeah, he goes on to say that he's going over a list of being wronged in the past, the Hawaiians. He said the early explorers brought diseases to the islands. The Mormons brought Mormonism.
Yeah.
He literally, those are the two he brought up in a row. The sugar barons overthrowing the Hawaiian monarchy and enslaving the people. Foreign surfers coming and stealing the waves. That's incongruous. There's no, you can't say diseases, forced religion, people throwing over the monarchy, enslaving people, and then go to surfers stealing my waves, brah. Fucking hang loose. No, that's not you can't do that. Also, that's not the same thing.
You're from fucking Philly, bro.
Yeah, like what the
You're
fuck,
not
man?
Hawaiian.
God, he said methamphetamine epidemic now engulfing the islands. He said, and now they're fucking with our food, and they're fucking with the very root of who we are as a people. It's the worst thing they could be doing. Greedy fucking fucks. For what? For money? Money does strange things to people. Fuck them. He said they got all these research farms right over the hill from my house. We're having a march against Monsanto in, I'm not going to pronounce that, tomorrow.
Okay.
He says that the next day they drive around and they pass the Dole Plantation, which is now a tourist trap where they grow like 5 pineapples for show.
Yep.
There's nothing really there. The pineapples are now grown in Costa Rica because it's cheaper.
Figure.
So that's where they grow them. So yeah, pineapple and sugarcane fields are deserted, and they said the agribusinesses that once were there are not really there anymore. And
it's all beach. That's what you sell.
That's it. He also says he farms, Eddie. He's a farmer now.
What's he sell?
Yeah, he brought a guy in and he said, "This is my farm," and he said he wants to be a farmer. He said he wants to sit on the opposite side of where Monsanto is, man. That's what he says. He says that he spends long days moving giant rocks by hand because if he used tractors, he would fuck up all the water hoses we have. Okay. He tends to use crops and digs holes for water purification systems by hand, he says.
Oh.
He says, quote, "I've seen them do it this way in Samoa. They use their hands and their feet like this." And then he climbs down into an unfinished hole and starts to claw at the earth.
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
We made machines so you don't have to do that.
Or a shovel. I don't know. You don't need your hand. A fucking fork would be better than this.
Spoon, man.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. A clamshell, something. This is crazy.
Break a coconut.
Yeah, fuck, man. He said he digs his own wells, installs solar panels, and feeds his chickens and ducks. They talk about this. He talks about also the curse of Pele, not the soccer player, I don't think. The legend that anything taken from the Hawaiian Islands will bring bad luck to the taker. The Brady Bunch theory.
Right.
Yeah, you can't take that little thing.
The old Goonies thing.
A spider will bite Greg, yeah.
Right.
They're talking about that. So they say anything that they take, all this bullshit. Anyway, here's a poem that somebody wrote about him. It's not really a poem. It's really just, it doesn't rhyme.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about poetry. I'm sure it's still a poem. But this guy, who wrote this? This is a book called Welcome to Paradise, Now Go to Hell. Okay. Here's a lay, now fuck off.
Yeah.
Theoretically, Eddie Rothman is nothing to fear. 63 years old. Now he's over 70, but when this was written, and 5'5" or 5'7" if generous, 5'6" if honest. That sounds familiar. You're 5'8" if generous, 5'7" if honest, I believe. There it goes there. He said he could be a grandpa or a retiree, but he is not. He is roping muscle. His arms, usually bare, are perpetually flexed. His chest, puffed out like a gorilla, vibrates aggression. His expression rarely changes. It is stone, and his features are stone too. A pug nose broken more than once. A jaw that would be impossible to break even with a lead baton. He shaves his gray hair down to a fine stubble, and the braided rat tail that he once sported is gone.
Oh,
thank God.
Damn it.
Can't be a 70-year-old man with a rat tail.
I thought they were going to talk about his salt and pepper.
Jesus Christ.
Salt and pepper rat tail.
So no one wants to hear about that. The neck that holds that head up as thick as a tree. His eyes, when not covered behind wraparound sunglasses, are dull and probing at the same time. He looks through you very slowly. He looks into you. The reality of Eddie Rothman lives up to the whispers. He's no ordinary little man from Nebraska like the Wizard of Oz, hiding behind a disembodied booming voice. He is a flesh and blood reckoning. Okay. So there he is. He's about 73 years old right now.
A tiny
and still
dog
kicking.
Bounty hunter bald.
Yep, still doing his thing, still kicking.
Wow.
Can't get enough of it. Well, they have their own tournament, the Hui Backdoor Shootout. Good God. That's amazing.
Backdoor shootout. That's me when I have eggs.
You just had a backdoor shootout from what you told me.
I did.
The Hui Backdoor Shootout Pipeline. That's what it says. So
yeah.
Which is it?
It's a pipeline.
There you go. So they're going to have that. Then the next day, they're going to have a cleanup of the beach after they do that. So there you go. You can probably find him there, I assume, hanging out.
Wow.
Either way, that is Fast Eddie Rothman, and there is a surfing story, because we needed one
cases, man.
Fucking John Gotti, this guy is. This is what. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Popeye, Superman, or the Devil. That's who he is. I apologize. So,
beating tourists and cases all equally.
Man, tourist cases, federal agents, they'll man it, Fast Eddie. So if you like that story, I don't know, tell everybody about it or don't. Do whatever the fuck you want. But definitely head over to shutupandgivememurder.com and get your merchandise and all that kind of shit. Head over to patreon.com/crime and sports. Get on Patreon there. That's where you get the bonus materials, and that's where Crime and Sports will live on well past the time when we end it, the regular show here in January or December. What you get, anybody $5 a month or more, not only do you get a huge back catalog of shitloads of bonus episodes, like 150 of them, but on top of that, every other week, you're going to get 2 new episodes. One small town murder, one crime and sports, and you have access to it all. This week for crime and sports, what we're going to discuss is we're going to get into Len Bias, who, imagine if LeBron James, highly touted, hands down #1 overall draft pick. Imagine if after all that hype, he got drafted, and the night he is drafted, he died of a cocaine overdose heart attack.
Celebrated hard.
Imagine what kind of story that would be.
Yeah.
That's Len Bias' story that happened in 1986, and people of the later generation that didn't even know that. But when we were little kids, that's what they used to tell us.
Yeah.
When we were little, they'd be, if you do, Len Bias, look at him, Len Bias. You'd be like, oh, shit, Len Bias can dunk. I can't dunk. If it can kill him, it'll fuck me up.
Right.
So that was a big deal. So we'll talk about him. And then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about the difference between Netflix Dahmer case and real Dahmer case, and what they did wrong, what they did right. They did such a good job cinematically that it was, I don't want that to become the record of exactly what happened, because it isn't. It's that's how they're like, man, that Niecy Nash really did a lot, and for that, it's like that woman did not fucking exist. Her name existed, but she wasn't that person. Right. They mashed tons of times, mashing 2 people together. We'll talk all about it, all the differences here. That is patreon.com/crime and sports, and you'll get a shout out.
You betcha.
When are you going to get a shout out? Right fucking now. Jimmy, why don't you give us a list of the most wonderful people in the world who wouldn't mind at all if we surfed whatever wave we felt like surfing? Hit me with them now.
This week's executive producers are Franny Hitsky in Australia, Jordan Bennett in Canada, Lisa Yuknavage.
Nice. Nicely done.
She's a wonderful woman. And,
thank you.
And Gundel, happy birthday, Gundel. I think it's Gundel? I think it's Gundel. I don't know. Gundal.
Happy birthday, goddammit.
Happy birthday. Other producers this week are beautiful Mother Jefferson, the limo driver asking Rocky for the plate number of the truck that ran over his face, Liz Vasquez, Peyton Meadows, the guy who looks like Bubbles from The Wire, Barry, Myron, and Ira, and also all of the Fartstein family.
Oh, the wonderful Fartsteins.
They're wonderful. Finn and Adam's mother, Chrissy. Happy birthday, Chrissy. Whiskey, Tequila, and Eros at Centeno Kennels in Ontario, Canada. Maury Kessler, Kaylin Bancroft. Happy hour checking in Roosevelt, Utah. Janice Hill, Larry Butterfast, Tasha Posada, Frankie Brown, Angela Davis, Erica Tilley, Liz Colson, Jill Reiser, Hayden Breedlove, Blake Hux, I think, Nathan Bennett, Christina Flaherty, Benjamin with no last name, John Pontius, Yakuza Grande,
hey,
Ben Stutzman, Christine and Patrick Hedgecock, NEIMCS, I think, Nina Buckley S, Mateo De La Vega, Kenneth Chandler, Riley Parkinson, Philip Maniscalchi, Neck Medu, what? What are you trying to make me say that I can't read? Jensen and Adam, Jonathan Martin, The Hungry Honky, Jean Jarka, Sunshine with no last name, Pink Noir, Darlene S., Erica Hackney, Delaney Kubiak, Rachel with no last name. Nope, that's Rochelle. No, I don't know what it is. Jessica Stern, Kelly Kahn, Tyler Font, Jimmy Roach, Megan Ruffalo, probably Mark's sister or daughter or wife. Somebody in his family. Diablo Orphan, Sule with no last name. Odie Young, Kyle Phillips, Pat with no last name. Jamie Laws, Vanessa Hutner, VW, Fox Chronicles, Sonny Cornelius, Sean Schmitz, Call Me Tiggs, Amber Gwynn, Joanna with no last name, or possibly Johanna. Summer Mink, Stephanie Johnson, Pablo Suarez Jr., Lorena, Leben Guth, Fancy Nancy, Bo S., Larry Ketterman Jr., Big D Story, Jane Pillsbury, Edward Jerez, Felicia Pryor, Ashley Giggly.
Googly Giggly family. They're very prominent in the New England area. There you go.
Tracy Bunch, Rachel Little, Luis FDT. What is that? Brandon Hill. It's just Hill. Joanne Richardson, Matt Powlick, Jennifer Cahill, Carrie Passaretta, Holly Patterson, Dr. Waffles Wiener Wagon.
What is that? That's a good one. The Wiener Wagon. I'm always up for a stop on a Wiener Wagon.
Dr. Waffles, Graham Larson, Destiny Hogan, Sean with no last name, April Mlodinia, Gregory Busby, Ryan Bexford, Dr. Foolin' You, James Emeston, Lori Decatur, Christopher Knowles, Matthew Wool.
By the way, if you try to stick like a political message in your thing, we won't fucking read that.
Fuck that, man.
We won't read that. This is for fun, and you're not going to be the asshole that ruins it.
I'm not trying to ruin shit.
No, don't be the asshole. Not you, them. I mean,
through you. I'm dumb.
Don't be that asshole.
But I'll beat you.
Person.
I'll beat you. Yeah. Verity Benwell, Scott Bulin, Brandon Price, Nicole. What is this? Joe LaCure. Not true. Not right. I promise that's wrong. Blake Bedwell, TB with no last name. Joanna Betchard, Emily with no last name, Nikki Kimball, Jeremy Peterson, Karen Wage, Liv Gwynn, Katie Carlson, James Chambers, Walter Daniels, Quintino with no last name, Ian Arsenault, Megan with no last name, Emmett 2713, Mon Bon, Sean with no last name, Lisa Pokoriku, Kirk Aguirre, maybe? Derek Adams, Rick Bittner, Kyle Yuskachak, Gabrielle Eichert, Star G, Beck Smith, Tina Guthrie, Thomas Shirley, Kimberly Washkune, Jonathan.
Bend over and wash it. Your cunes are filthy, all of you.
Jonathan with no last name, Brianna Knight, Kelly Locke, Andrew Gleason, Rachgars, Ailey Cooper, Jared Woosley, Stephanie Huggins, Steve Brown, Scott with no last name, Anna Watson, Christina Hoffman, Vanessa Wilson, Dustin Fisher, Stephanie Canajayas, Ryan Lamberdigan.
Lamborghini? What was that?
Lamberding. Kim Robinson, Danielle with no last name, Bill Holt, Clayton Maring, Susan Cherry, yes, Johnny Boldrick, yes, Kate M., Randy Gallup, Rachel Martin, Shelby Estens, Jamie Mitchell, Joshua Shelton, Bridget Burton, Terry Eckert, Matthew, that's Meredith, McClure, Catherine, Caitlin, Barchik, Cathcart, Megan with no last name, Jasmine, Jasmine, Andes, Cody, Barjack.
This is falling apart now.
Darren Koch, Tammy with no last name, Christy Graham, Elizabeth Lau, Brian with no last name, Annalise Jones, Asher Hirschberg, Angela Guerra, David with no last name, Alexandria with no last name, Taylor Mullen, Rachel with no last name, Susan Conrad, Rachel, that's Sarah, Rachel, Jesse with no last name, Zach Robertson, Alan Huggins, Andy Bell, Garrett Jones, Shark Bait, Joe MB, Michelle Din, Cynthia Daniels, Jen Parado, Megan Staniford, and Caitlin Peterson, and all of our patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for all that you do for us. Honestly, we cannot thank you enough, and we cannot tell you how appreciative we are for it. Thank you. We hope you love the bonus material. We'll keep making the weirdest, craziest shit we can for you on there. So Thank you for all that you've done for us. If you want to follow the show on social media, we're at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. You want to follow us individually here, the hosts as we are, on social media. Very easy to do that. Just go to shutupandgivememurder.com. Links are right there, or you can just look up Small Town Murder podcast hosts. We're not hard to find. No. We don't fucking hide. Here we are. That said, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on another crazy goddamn edition. Counting them down, and live from the Crime and Sports Studios, we will see you next week.
What?
If you like Crime and Sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.